Chapter 5429 Kill all the silver-winged demons. Most of them are nine-veined emperors, and there are more than a dozen half-step demon emperors, killing tens of thousands of strong people in a row. Long Chen himself is exhausted, slightly panting. Seeing Long Chen panting, a sneer appeared on the corner of the blond man's mouth. You have no strength, how can you fight with me now? No more strength. Long Chen took a deep breath. The breath circulated around his body. His breathing stopped suddenly, and he became energetic again. When he saw Long Chen's transformation, the blond man was startled and immediately understood. It turns out that what you just used was not the power of stars at all. How fresh, just these crooked melons and cracked dates. You want me to use the precious power of the stars? Long Chen said disdainfully. Long Chen's star vision is always blessed on his body, but what Long Chen uses is the power of purple blood and the power of colorful supreme blood. After killing so many powerhouses, the power of both of them was almost exhausted, so Long Chen took a breather. Now Long Chen has switched back to the power of the stars, and he has returned to his peak state. That is to say, the battle just now only consumed his purple blood, colorful supreme blood, and part of his soul power. Long Chen is not a fool. How can he fail to see the purpose of the blond man? Since the other party wants to consume his power, Long Chen will plan to kill all these silver-winged demons, and now the black soil in the chaotic space has already been filled with their corpses. Don't waste your brains. In the face of absolute power, the so-called conspiracies are all nonsense. With your little brains of the demon race, playing tricks on the human race, aren't you bringing shame on yourself? Long Chen carried the Keel Evil Moon and slowly walked towards the blond man. The power of the stars, which was originally calm, is now surging like a tide, and the whole world is undergoing some kind of mutation because of Long Chen. This is the first time I've heard of the descendant of the 9 stars who possesses the power of both the Zixue clan and the Jiuli clan at the same time. It seems that you are stronger than I expected, and it seems that it will take a little effort to take you down, but do you really think that you, a little earth saint, are qualified to challenge the emperor? The blond man said coldly. My goal is not to challenge you, but to defeat you or even kill you, or I have a higher goal than killing you. You call yourself the Devil Emperor, but that is already in the past. Now you are not human, ghosts are not ghosts, heaven will not accept you, and hell will not keep you. Don't mention the glorious past, it's all gone. What you are facing now is the all-powerful and invincible third master Long Chen said. Ha, all-powerful? Invincible? It's funny that a person born in the doomed age dares to boast like that. The blond man looked up to the sky and laughed. Laugh to your heart's content, or there will be no chance later. By the way, have you ever seen a wooden barrel? Have you heard of the word shortboard? Long Chen asked. Barrel? Of course I know, and I understand the shortcoming. What are you going to say? The blond man asked. A wooden barrel, in addition to a base, is made up of many boards. How much water a wooden barrel can hold does not depend on the longest board, but on the shortest board. Long Chen said. What's the meaning? The blond man obviously didn't understand what Long Chen meant. As Long Chen walked forward, he continued, the strength of a person is the same, the body, blood, spells, supernatural powers, formations, wisdom, etc. are all equivalent to a piece of board. These boards are joined together to form a barrel wall, and the boards are uneven, tall and short, long and short. Most people who practice can only see their longest board, but not their shortest board. Therefore, there is his weakness and short board, which is the origin of his short board. And the reason why I dare to challenge you directly is because I know where my longest board is, and I also know where your shortest board is. Comparing the two, I think my longest board is longer than your shortest board, so I have the confidence to beat you. Then what do you think is my shortcoming? The blond man sneered. It's better to say than to do. Long Chen moved. During his speech, he took a total of 35 steps forward. When the 36th step was taken, 35 footprints appeared behind Long Chen. On each footprint, there are countless star maps circulating. However, at the moment when the star map appeared, 35 Long Chen appeared at the same time. Step forward and they instantly become one. The waving moon shocks the sky, Long Chen roared, It was a blow he had stored for a long time, and he had planned for a long time for this blow. Boom! The sword shocked the world, the divine power split the universe, the Keel evil moon crossed the sky, and a black galaxy appeared. This sword contained all the power of Long Chen. You cheat! The blond man realized that he had been fooled. Long Chen distracted his attention by speaking. In fact, from the first step, it was equivalent to a shot. Originally, he was holding a simple golden saber in one hand, and the other hand kept making seals to deal with Long Chen. At this moment, the altar exploded, and his saber left the altar to meet Long Chen's knife. The moment the golden saber left the altar, the entire altar trembled, the skulls of the endless human race powerhouses trembled, and the altar began to shake and become unstable. It turned out that his saber was used to suppress the skulls of these strong human races, and it could not be used easily, but Long Chen's violent blow made him have to resist it with his saber. Boom! There was a shocking explosion, and the two divine soldiers were slashed together with the shadow of thousands of knives. The void exploded, and the 10,000 runes were crushed into powder. Long Chen spurted out a mouthful of blood, and the tiger's mouth was shattered. Flew out. And the blond man felt uncomfortable, his body shook for a while, and he took a few steps back. Every time he took a step back, the altar under his feet shook. Buzz! The altar buzzed and shook constantly, as if it was about to collapse at any moment. On top of the endless skulls, there are bloody silk threads connecting them, binding these heads firmly. Without these bloody silk threads, the altar would have collapsed long ago. I see, when I first came here, I remembered that those guys were all half-step demon emperors. But just now, most of them became 9 meridian emperors. It turned out that you forcibly took away part of their strength, and their feelings were to maintain this altar. Looking at the constantly shaking altar, Long Chen smeared the blood on the corner of his mouth and said with a gloomy face, "It seems that you have a lot of shortcomings. The blow just now was just a test, so let's do it again." Long Chen took a deep breath, slowly closed his eyes, and Keel Shiyue slowly pointed to the sky. Buzz! On the dragon bone evil moon, a fist-sized star lit up, 1, 2, 3. Every time a star lights up, the starry sky behind Long Chen trembles violently. When the 7th star emerges, the sea of stars behind Long Chen twists instantly, and all of them pour into the Keel evil moon. Puff! Long Chen spat out a mouthful of blood, and at that moment, Dragon Bone Xiaoyu had accumulated endless power of stars and began to leak it crazily. Out of control, Long Chen's face changed drastically. This was a trick he had imagined on a whim. He thought it was very feasible, but he didn't expect that it would be different when it came to actual operation. 7 stars and crescent moon / Long Chen roared angrily, spurting blood from his mouth. Using his arms forcefully, he threw the dragon bone Shiyue out. This is the product of Long Chen's fusion of the secret method of the 9-star lineage, 7 stars Zhanyue, and Dragon Bone Xie's crescent moon shocking sky /. In order to increase the success rate, Long Chen deliberately used the crescent moon shocking / first, so that the power of the stars and the power of the Keel evil moon can be integrated. But the current Dragon Bone Shiyue, injected with the power of the star sea by him, instantly became chaotic and uncontrollable. He could no longer hold it, otherwise he would be directly shocked to death. Keel Shiyue broke away from Long Chen's big hand and slashed at the altar crookedly. Long Chen didn't even look at the result and ran away. Chapter 54:30 Hurry up, hurry up. Long Chen's 2 legs swung like 2 wheels, and the thunder wings and flame wings were stretched behind him. Long Chen's speed had reached the extreme, and even the space in front of him was distorted by him. But even so, Long Chen still felt that the speed was slow. He knew that this sure blow was a failure. If the power is out of control, it will be released indiscriminately, regardless of whether it is the enemy or the enemy. He is a little regretful now. If the Dragon Bone Shiyue had not fallen into a deep sleep, maybe it would not have been like this. But in this world, there are not so many possibilities. Long Chen ran desperately staying away from that altar. It's weird, how long has it been? Why hasn't Big Brother Longchen appeared yet? It can't be. At the core of the Finyu battlefield, there is a high mountain with thousands of walls, reaching straight into the sky. On the top of the mountain, there is a natural high platform. On the high platform, more than a dozen figures sat cross-legged. They were men and women, with hands in mudra, with solemn expressions, but without a trace of life fluctuation. The leader is handsome and heroic. Although he has been dead for countless years, when people see him, they will be overwhelmed by his demeanor and cannot help but kneel down and worship him. The divine splendor of this person circulates throughout the ages and is immortal. It is the unique aura of the Fengshen. He is none other than the disciple of the Fengshen, Feng Wuji. It was he who used the lives of himself and all his companions to initiate the 8 curses, sealing the endless silver-winged demons in the wind-field battlefield, becoming the living dead, unable to leave this place forever, and unable to cause harm to the world. After Tang Weiner and the others entered the core area, they began a large-scale search, but they found that the silver-winged demons they encountered here were not as many as they imagined, and they were not as strong as they imagined. The strongest silver-winged demon they encountered was nothing more than the 9-veined emperor. A small team could easily deal with it without encountering the so-called danger at all. After they entered the core land, in order to wait for Long Chen, they did not rush forward, but searched for treasures in a large area. The scope of everyone's search is huge, and almost everyone has a great chance. Someone got a bone book, which records ancient secret arts. Someone got the magic weapon. Although the magic weapon has decayed, the weapon spirit is still alive. It has survived until today by absorbing the blood essence of the silver-winged demon. If you can find a suitable weapon for it, it will be reborn. Most importantly, the weapon spirit has memory and can fully describe what happened that year. Someone obtained the elixirs of the era of chaos, but they didn't know these elixirs, so they didn't dare to take them indiscriminately, and they would hand them over to Fengshen Hage in the end. They don't know how many demon blood essence and crystal nuclei they have collected. It can be said that they are the most profitable group since the opening of the wind field battlefield. But their ultimate goal is Feng Wuji and others. They want to worship, which is an extremely sacred and solemn ceremony, and Long Chen is naturally indispensable. However, when they entered the core land, they slowed down and waited for Long Chen. Now that they had arrived at the land of the divine way, Long Chen still hadn't appeared, and everyone couldn't help but mutter in their hearts. Don't talk nonsense, Brother Long Chen's miraculous skills are world-class. What kind of monster can hold him back? If you ask me, he must have discovered some great opportunity, so he wasted time. A god attendant said. Everyone was right when they thought about it. These monsters, even they can't threaten them, can they threaten Long Chen's safety? Sister Weiner. Xiao Ye and the others couldn't help looking at Tang Weiner, whether they should continue to wait for Long Chen or worship first. Forget it, let's not wait for this guy, he is not from the lineage of our Fengshen, so we can worship by ourselves. Everyone remember, to form the Fengshen seal, practice the Fengshen Ju, have a longing in mind, be serious, and not blaspheme your predecessors. Tang Weiner said with a serious face. These people are the heroes of Fengshenhai Pavilion, and even more so, the heroes of the entire human race. Without their desperate protection, it is unknown what would have happened. Tang Weiner arranged all the sacrifices, and the hidden dragon warriors knelt down slowly with their hands in seals, their eyes solemn. After making all the preparations, Tang Weiner took out the sacrificial letter, which was carried by every generation of disciples who entered the Finyu battlefield, but this was the first time someone brought the sacrificial letter here after all these years. This sacrificial oration is a special item. It has been enshrined in the Fengshen Sea Pavilion for countless years, and it gathers the thoughts of gratitude from all the strong people of the Fengshen lineage. Tang Weiner recited devoutly, I am grateful for the great kindness of the ancestors, and I will never forget it through the ages. I will always remember the ambition of the ancestors to rise to the clouds. Boom! When Tang Weiner recited the sacrificial oration, suddenly the color of the sky and the earth changed, the ground trembled, and the aura of the entire Finyu battlefield changed. It's the ancestors who appeared, and they heard our voice. Someone shouted excitedly, tears streaming down his face. Tang Weiner was also a little excited. Reciting the sacrificial oration, she felt a trace of Feng Wuji's soul wave. It seemed to really hear it. Tang Weiner's voice was trembling, and she continued to recite loudly, "The great kindness of the ancestors is like the rising sun." Boom! However, following Tang Weiner's recitation, the sky and the earth trembled continuously, becoming more and more violent, and even some people couldn't stand still. Suddenly the motionless Feng Wuji opened his eyes, and the other strong men also slowly opened their eyes. At this moment, Tang Weiner and the others almost screamed out. The heroic spirits of these seniors were actually awakened by them. Although Feng Wuji and the others opened their eyes were extremely empty and out of focus, as if they could not be seen at all. Tang Weiner hurriedly continued to chant the sacrificial oration, and as Tang Weiner recited the sacrificial oration, the trembling between the heaven and the earth became more and more intense, and the universe was shaking. Feng Wuji's eyes gradually gained focus, and he saw everyone, but when he saw Tang Weiner, a look of shock first appeared on his face, and then a smile appeared on his face. "Stop reading, we're back." Feng Wuji spoke. His voice was thick and gentle, just like the elder brother next door. Hearing his voice seemed to be able to dispel all fear and anxiety in people's hearts. "Senior." Tang Weiner was so excited that she knelt down with everyone, but just now she made a move. Feng Wuji waved her hand slowly, and a gentle force stopped her from kneeling. "It's great that you can show up." Feng Wuji looked at Tang Weiner with a touch of sigh and relief on his face. Tang Weiner didn't know how to answer for a while. Feng Wuji looked at her as if he had known her for a long time. Boom! At this moment, a loud noise shook the sky, and the berserk force directly lifted Tang Weiner and the others from the ground into the air. Tang Weiner and the others were stunned. Since Feng Wuji and the others had already woken up, why the world was still trembling? "Do you have another partner?" Feng Wuji looked back. "Yes, there is one more." When Tang Weiner heard this, her heart couldn't help beating wildly, and she immediately thought of Long Chen. "Walk." Feng Wuji waved his hand, and everyone disappeared in place. Chapter 54:31. Boom! There was a shocking explosion, and Long Chen, who was running desperately, seemed to be hit by a flying meteor. The person was thrown in the air and tumbling all the way, and he saw that the void was constantly disillusioned, and endless human skulls were scattered in the sky and the earth. Boom, boom, boom. The skulls of those human races exploded, and at that moment, Long Chen felt a strong sense of humiliation and killing intent. Long Chen knew that those emotions were emanating from the skulls of these human races. After they died in battle, their heads were collected by the enemy and enslaved by them. This was the greatest humiliation and blasphemy for them. Long Chen slashed and exploded the altar. The magic runes that imprisoned the altar were crushed by the power of the stars. These skulls lost their restraint and exploded. Before, they had been enslaved, but they were unable to resist, but now they were finally freed, and chose to self-detonate immediately, so that the other party would no longer be able to use them. However, at the same time as they blew themselves up, they released endless anger and killing intent. Unfortunately, no matter how angry they were unable to take revenge. Seniors of the human race, go with peace of mind, but don't go too fast, because I'm afraid you won't hear him call Daddy in a while. Affected by their emotions, Long Chen spread his wings behind his back, stepped on the void, and came back again. Snapped, Long Chen opened his big hand, and in the void, Dragon Bone Xiaoyu, who flew back upside down, was grabbed by Long Chen. The blow of Dragon Bone Xiaoyu just now, because there was no control of Long Chen, caused the power to be unable to concentrate, and the power of the blow covered the entire altar. The blonde man only withstood part of the force of the blow, and most of the force was borne by the altar, but he was so shocked that he spit blood, flew upside down, and left the altar. When the endless human skulls on the altar were blown away, Long Chen saw 36 golden-winged celestial demons lying under the altar, and Long Chen couldn't help but feel his head buzzing. The 36 golden-winged demons lay there in a certain formation, and their aura made Long Chen feel his soul tremble. "Nima, can't you be so unlucky?" Long Chen was so angry that he wanted to curse. A blonde man was enough for him to do, and now there are 36 golden-winged demons, and all of them have terrifying auras, stronger than this blonde man. Long Chen is going crazy. However, Long Chen glanced at the 36 silver-winged demons, and found that their souls did not fluctuate. In other words, they are still in a deep sleep, and they should not be awakened for some reason. That is to say, they are still corpses now. Corpse? Long Chen's eyes suddenly turned red. He rushed towards these golden-winged demons like a bolt of lightning, and the blonde man was blown by Long Chen at this time, and he flew far away, unable to stop Long Chen at all. When he saw Long Chen rushing towards these corpses, he was startled at first, and then a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. He thought Long Chen was going to kill them, but in fact, these demon corpses were the strongest existence on the wind-field battlefield. During the bloody battle, the blonde man was only fit to hang behind these strong men. Later, the 8 blood curses were activated, and these 36 strong men died under the strongest curse. He escaped a catastrophe because of his constant strength. He was the first to give birth to Will under the curse of death. Then he collected the corpses of 36 strong men, arranged a large formation, opened up the passage of time and space, and stole the laws of chaos in the past to awaken them. Those half-step demon emperors on the stage before were actually all sacrifices to wake them up. It can be said that even if they are dead, their bodies cannot be damaged by people like Long Chen. Therefore, seeing Long Chen rushing over, he was not worried at all. Instead, with a touch of sarcasm, he let go of the golden saber and formed seals with both hands. The endless demonic energy erupted, and he wanted to take advantage of Long Chen to surprise those corpses and launch a big move. Long Chen came to those corpses, stretched out his big hand, and grabbed the corpse of a golden-winged demon. Suddenly, a terrifying force shook Long Chen's palms. What a terrifying demonic energy, what a terrifying bloodline fluctuation. Long Chen was horrified, but also full of fanaticism. With a roar, he grabbed the corpse desperately. The corpse, which was heavier than a mountain, was actually pulled up by Long Chen. The chaotic space trembled, and Long Chen forcibly threw the corpse into the chaotic space. Seeing a successful blow, Long Chen was so excited that his heart beat wildly. Whirring. Long Chen grabbed these corpses one by one, threw them into the chaotic space frantically, and caught 17 of them in one go. However, when Long Chen went to grab the 18th one, the sudden sharp saber aura made his hair stand on end. Long Chen could only give up the corpse, holding the dragon bone Shiyue in both hands, exhaled and made a sound, and the dragon bone Shiyue slashed behind him. Boom! There was another shocking explosion, and the Keel Evil Moon slashed heavily on the blonde man's golden sword. Long Chen and the blonde man trembled, and a mouthful of blood spurted out, and the two flew thousands of miles away. Hand over the golden-winged blood emperor. The blonde man roared angrily. He was still preparing a big move to trap Long Chen to death. Until now, he was still thinking about how to catch him alive. He never thought that Long Chen would put these corpses away one by one. At that moment, he was so frightened that he was scared out of his wits, and immediately shot. "My sister, get out of here, these corpses are all mine." Long Chen yelled, and he rushed out again like lightning. What are you kidding? That is the existence of the Demon Emperor level. The Demon Emperor in the era of chaos. If it is refined into a puppet, will Long Chen walk sideways in the Tianyuan world in the future? For an existence like a blonde man, wouldn't it be like playing with a puppet? The thought of having a group of demon kings as bodyguards made Long Chen's eyes turn blue, and he didn't care about killing the blonde man at this time, he only wanted these corpses. Bastard, you are courting death. Seeing Long Chen rushing towards those corpses like a bandit, the blonde man became anxious. While roaring, the golden wings on his back stretched open the sky and the earth, and the golden saber in his hand shone with divine light. At this time, he no longer cared about Long Chen's life or death. He erupted with all his strength, and the Demon Emperor's power exploded. Long Chen felt the space around him stagnate for a moment. "Shiyue, wake up, get up and help me with my work first." Long Chen yelled, and the power of his soul frantically poured into Kielsia. At this moment, he must wake up Kielsia, otherwise, he would not be able to beat this guy at all. At this moment, Kielsia trembled violently, followed by an evil breath, blooming like a blowout, and endless evil runes covered the blade of Kielsia. Quick battle! Kielsia yelled. Obviously, it is also at a critical stage and cannot afford to delay too much. Seeing Long Guxia wake up, Long Chen's confidence increased greatly, and the sea of stars appeared again behind him. The previous Xinghai was forcibly poured into the Kiel evil moon by Long Chen, but at this time, Long Chen still has 80% of the power of the stars, and he can summon Xinghai again. Come again, 7 stars waving moon slash. Long Chen roared, and the sea of stars behind him twisted again, pouring into the Dragon Bone evil moon. However, this time, the Dragon Bone evil moon took the initiative to absorb the power of the stars, and the violent star sea was sucked by it. At that moment, the world was dead silent, and the whole world lost its sound. The huge Dragon Bone evil moon, across the sky, cut down the sky, and with supreme power, it cut towards the blonde man. The blonde man was shocked to find that he was locked and couldn't move at all. Small human race, what qualifications do you have to be arrogant in front of the great heavenly demon? The blonde man roared, and suddenly the golden wings behind him disappeared, and 2 patterns of divine feathers appeared on the long knife. Boom on the long sword of the blonde man, the demonic energy erupted, the void exploded, and the sword fell against Long Chen's Kielsia. However, at this moment, a group of figures appeared, and it was Tang Weiner and the others who rushed over. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were completely stunned. Chapter 5432 Tang Weiner felt that under the distortion of the space, they had disappeared in place. When they reappeared, they felt the vast magic power in the space, trying to tear their bodies and souls apart. In the distortion of 10,000 ways, they saw Long Chen. At this time, Long Chen was holding the Kiel evil moon, and the galaxy cut down the sky. On the opposite side of Long Chen, they saw a terrifying blonde man. The moment they saw the blonde man clearly, Tang Weiner and the others felt their scalps go numb. In the magic power, he guessed the identity of the blonde man. Before they understood what was going on, the 2 long knives slashed together fiercely, and there was a loud bang, and people saw a sun appearing from where the 2 of them were. The sun zoomed in rapidly, swallowing up their location in an instant, and the hidden dragon warriors screamed in fright. Such a terrifying power, once hit, would be smashed to pieces. There was no chance at all. The most frightening thing was that all this happened so fast, they were swallowed by the sun, before they even had any reaction. Boom! Tang Weiner and the others felt that the world was crushed, their bodies and souls were all torn into pieces, and the breath of death swallowed them completely. However, they soon discovered that they were not dead, and the breath of death was just a feeling. They saw, behind Feng Wuji, a man formed a mudra with one hand, and his divine radiance flowed, forming a shield in front of them. It turned out that it was the man who withstood the terrifying impact for them, but retained the feeling of death, allowing them to withstand the test of death. My Fengshen lineage has successors. The man looked at the hidden dragon warriors with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Obviously, the performance of the hidden dragon warriors far exceeded his expectations. Even if they were about to die, the will of the hidden dragon warriors was still as firm as a rock. A heroic and fearless will is the cornerstone of becoming a strong man. If it's just 1 or 2 people, it's nothing if they have such will. Most importantly, the entire Hidden Dragon Legion is so powerful that even these strong men from the era of chaos will be moved by it. Boom! At this moment, the core of the sun exploded, and the void kept twisting, and the 2 figures rolled out like lonely boats on the sea, ups and downs. Too strong, there was a strong man behind Feng Wuji who couldn't help but said, "It's really worthy of being the successor of 9 stars. In any era, the successor of 9 stars has never disappointed people." The other strong men also nodded. Obviously, they all recognized Long Chen's identity. Boom boom, with two explosions, Long Chen and the blonde-haired man stabilized their bodies at the same time. The blonde-haired man spewed out a mouthful of blood. He formed seals with both hands, and golden runes appeared between his brows. Obviously he was injured, so he took the opportunity to adjust his breath. Long Chen was not much better than him. He felt that his bones were about to be shaken apart, but Long Chen neither adjusted his breath nor healed his wounds. He just stepped out and rushed towards the corpses. Boy looking for death, seeing that Long Chen was still plotting against these corpses at this time, the blonde man was so angry that his lungs were going to explode, he roared and killed Long Chen. Hoo. Long Chen shot like lightning and collected a few more corpses in one breath. At this time, the sword of the blonde man had already roared towards him. When Long Chen stopped drinking, threw the dragon bone Shiyue in his hand, and slashed at the blonde man fiercely. With a bang, Keel Shiyue slashed on the long knife, and the golden saber in the man's hand was cut off by Keely Moon. What? The blonde man was shocked. What he didn't know was that with the blow just now, Dragon Bone Shiyue had already chopped off his saber, leaving a gap the size of a peanut. With this blow, Long Chen precisely slashed at the gap, and the blonde man's saber was cut off in an instant. The reason why Long Chen used the flying knife was because he knew that it didn't take much strength to cut off the opponent's weapon, and Dragon Bone Xie could handle it by himself. But if he held the knife in both hands, he would have to bear the strength of the blonde man, and in this way he would remain unharmed. However, when the Keel Evil Moon cut off the opponent's magic weapon, while the blonde man was in a daze, in Long Chen's right hand, the stars flowed, and the cross appeared, silently slapping his big face. You shameless! Long Chen stopped drinking, and slapped the blonde man's face hard with his big hand. This magical slap did not disappoint Long Chen. In the past, Long Chen's slap magic technique was purely for the purpose of humiliating the opponent. It would not threaten the opponent's life, and it could shield the opponent's perception of danger, so it could hit every shot. However, this time, Long Chen's blow was aimed at killing the opponent, but at such a close distance, the blonde man couldn't react at all, so he was slapped on the face. Boom! His huge head and flowing blonde hair were blown away by Long Chen's palm, the sky was stained red with demonic blood, and the headless corpse flew out. If it was normal, when the hidden dragon warriors saw this scene, they would definitely cheer for Long Chen. But at this time, they had already opened their mouths wide in shock from this terrifying scene. At this time, Long Chen was brave and invincible, like the resurrection of the Emperor of Heaven, and it seemed that he was no longer the Long Chen they knew. Snapped Long Chen succeeded in a sneak attack with a palm, opened his big hand, and Keel Shiyue flew back, was caught by him, and slashed down. Before those heroes are far away, call me daddy quickly, and let me fulfill my promise. Long Chen stopped drinking. Puff! The keel was chopped off by Shiyue, and the headless body of the blonde man flew horizontally and was cut off by Long Chen. Damn human race, the great demon clan, how could they give in to you? You all go to die. In the sky, came the roar of the blonde man. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud explosion, and its two parts exploded, turning into a rain of blood. The rain of blood did not scatter in all directions, but flew towards the remaining corpses. Not good. When he saw this scene, Long Chen's face changed drastically. He immediately rushed to those corpses and grabbed one of them. Long Chen's big hand trembled, and it was bounced away by a terrifying force of qi and blood. At the same time, Long Chen found that these corpses also began to have weak soul fluctuations. Hey, don't just watch, come and help. Long Chen also saw Feng Wuji and the others at this time, and Long Chen instantly felt their powerful aura, and immediately called out. Long Chen, don't be rude, this is Senior Feng Wuji. Seeing Long Chen feeding Feng Wuji back and forth, Tang Weiner hurriedly said, Little brother, you are brave and invincible, and Wuji admires them. However, they are our mortal enemies. You have done a very good job. This battle that spans time and space will eventually be resolved by us. Feng Wuji said, You help me cut off the power of the blood, and I can put these corpses away. Why are you such a mother-in-law? Long Chen said angrily. As soon as Long Chen said this, the powerhouses behind Feng Wuji suddenly changed their colors. Just as they were about to reprimand Long Chen, Feng Wuji said, "Little brother, this is God's will, even more fate. The 8 gates of blood curse is activated, we are destined to perish with them, destiny cannot be violated." When Tang Weiner heard this, she seemed to understand something. It seems that if Feng Wuji and others want to have karma with these monsters, they must go through a final battle. It was also because he saw the cause and effect that he did not stop the blonde man. Perhaps he knew that no one could stop him. Boom! At this moment, the demon corpses on the ground trembled. They had already begun to wake up, the terrifying demonic power surged, and the whole world was shaking crazily. What is God's will, what is fate? That's bullshit. If this is God's will, I will show you what it means to go against the sky. Seeing that these terrifying golden-winged demons were about to wake up, Long Chen was anxious and angry, and suddenly formed seals with his hands. Then, there was a loud explosion in his body, and the breath of his whole body exploded in an instant. At that moment he advanced from the earth sage to the sky. Esuboom! At this moment, the 9 heavens split open, thousands of paths roared, and endless clouds of calamity enveloped the world. Chapter 54:33 Boom! The robbery cloud covered the sky and the earth. The law of the windy battlefield was washed away by the terrifying robbery cloud. Amid the endless roar, the law of the sky and the earth was collapsing. Long Chen is like a god of war, standing in the sky, even in the face of those golden-winged demons who are slowly waking up. Long Chen is still fearless, and his fighting spirit is shocking. At that moment, even Feng Wuji and the others were startled. They looked at Long Chen in disbelief. They couldn't imagine that Long Chen would use heavenly tribulation to deal with these demon corpses. Boom! On the ground, huge figures climbed up one by one, but the moment they got up, endless thunder landed and drowned them. When these golden-winged celestial demons were devoured by the catastrophe and let out a terrifying roar, the magic runes on their bodies began to emit light smoke and began to burn. Chi-chi-chi! Not only these golden-winged demons, but even Feng Wuji and others were shrouded in endless thunder, and endless runes appeared all over their bodies, and those runes began to burn when they were stripped from their bodies. "This is..." someone exclaimed. None of them understood what happened. Only Feng Wuji looked at Long Chen, and the divine light in his eyes flowed. He knew that the power of heavenly tribulation was their nemesis. They have been dead for countless years. Even if their wills and spirits are immortal, they will be destroyed in the thunder of the sun. Tianjia represents the highest law of this era, and also represents the strongest will of the way of heaven. They do not belong to this era, so they are restrained by Tianjia. Puff! Long Chen shot like lightning, rushed towards a gold-winged celestial demon at the first moment, and slashed it down. The golden-winged celestial demon roared and blocked it with its golden wings, but his wings exploded with a slash. However, the strength of the golden-winged heavenly demon, even if restrained by heavenly tribulation, was still extremely terrifying. Long Chen was so shocked that blood spurted wildly and flew out backwards. However, Long Chen was extremely strong, and once again charged at the golden-winged demon. The power of the stars exploded, and he slashed down again. Puff! The golden-winged heavenly demon, whose wings were shattered and seriously injured, was chopped off by Long Chen on the head. His head was split in half, and he was killed instantly. Ho 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 ho! At this moment, the other golden-winged demons woke up one after another. They roared and rushed towards Long Chen. Boom boom boom! Gritting his teeth, Long Chen frantically slashed at Zayu's dragon bone in his hand. As a result, a golden-winged sky demon's sharp claws slashed across his back, leaving 5 blood grooves immediately. The bones were visible from the wound, and Long Chen grinned in pain. "Fuck your sister!" Long Chen was wounded, and with a wave of his hand, he chopped off the head of the golden-winged demon, and another golden-winged demon was killed. "Let's do it together." Seeing Long Chen kill 2 gold-winged demons in a row, Feng Wuji and others finally recovered from the shock and came to help Long Chen. I don't need you, let's reincarnate with the last bit of strength, the hidden dragon legion will fight. Long Chen shouted. Long Chen knows that Feng Wuji and others still have some power, but if this part of power is exhausted, they will disappear forever. But if they retain this power and lift the 8 curses, they will have a chance to reincarnate. Hearing Long Chen's shout, Tang Weiner and the others recovered from the shock and rushed directly to the battlefield. Kill! The hidden dragon warriors were killing loudly. They lined up to fight, knowing that they were facing the Devil Emperor of the chaotic era. Once they made a move, they might never return, but they still had no fear. Boom! Tang Weiner opened the vision, her divine power exploded, and she slashed out with a sword. The moon in the vision trembled suddenly, and the bright and clear moonlight was all concentrated on her body. Was decapitated by her sword, and was killed instantly. At this time, Tang Weiner discovered that although these golden-winged demons had terrifying auras, they were severely suppressed by the power of the heavenly tribulation, and they had just woken up, their bodies were stiff and their movements were inconvenient, so they were not as terrifying as imagined. Tang Weiner killed a gold-winged celestial demon with one blow, which greatly boosted the confidence of the hidden dragon warriors. The 8 god servants led 8 teams to fight fiercely against these golden-winged celestial demons. Boom boom boom. Under the tremendous pressure, the hidden dragon warriors cooperated seamlessly, fought fiercely, and even withstood the first wave of attacks. Feng Wuji and others looked at the heroic and invincible figures of the hidden dragon warriors, and their eyes were full of shock. Emperor's Blood Seal, Cross Destroyer God. Long Chen stopped drinking and struck out with a palm, which was imprinted on the chest of a gold-winged demon, and with a bang, a blood hole was made in the chest of the golden-winged demon by Long Chen's palm. Puff! At this moment, Tang Weiner came to kill the golden-winged heavenly demon who had been severely injured by Long Chen. Leave it to us here. Tang Weiner saw that Long Chen's face was as pale as paper, he was panting like a cow, and his soul fluctuations had become extremely chaotic, and she felt extremely distressed. Long Chen glanced at the battlefield. There were still 9 gold-winged demons left. The 8 god servants each led a team to deal with one, and the remaining one was handed over to Tang Weiner. Everything was fine. The most important thing is that these golden-winged celestial demons are restrained by the law of heaven and earth, and their natal runes are constantly being stripped. They will only get weaker and stronger, and they will survive the first wave, which means that they will win the final victory. Long Chen nodded, told Tang Weiner to be careful, and hastily swallowed an elixir, and the power of running the chaotic space accelerated recovery. The reason why Long Chen dared to challenge these monsters unscrupulously was because of the heavenly tribulation. If he really couldn't beat him, he could summon the heavenly tribulation to help. It's just that Long Chen himself is very confident in his own strength, and he didn't plan to use heavenly tribulation at all, but he didn't expect that there were so many terrifying existences hidden behind the blonde man. Fortunately, he interrupted the blonde man's plan. If these golden-winged demons are completely revived, Feng Wuji and others may not be able to cover them by then. If they are allowed to rush out of the windy battlefield, the human race will face a terrible catastrophe. Boom! Jiyun trembled, endless thunder lightsabers came, and endless thunder monsters rushed out. They attacked wildly regardless of whether they were enemies or friends. However, the hidden dragon warriors had gone through tribulations with Long Chen, and Long Chen invited them to eat special beef, and their physical strength was extremely strong. This kind of catastrophe does not threaten their lives and safety, but is more conducive to their combat. As the catastrophe becomes stronger, the golden-winged demon's runes will peel off faster, and its breath will become weaker and weaker. At the same time, the same was true for Feng Wuji and the others. Their aura became weaker and weaker, but they didn't panic at all. Instead, they became more and more relieved. They couldn't help looking at Long Chen. At this time, Long Chen was sitting on the void, and the dragon bone evil moon in his hand had already disappeared, because the dragon bone evil moon was also in a critical stage. Although the battle was not over, it ran away first. Although Long Chen's face is still pale at this time, but with the power of killing demons and invisible coercion, it is awe-inspiring. Looking at Long Chen, Feng Wuji's eyes flashed brightly. Perhaps, the breaker we have been waiting for has appeared in this life. Chapter 54-34 Boom! When the last golden-winged demon had its neck severed by Xiaoye's sword, and its body crashed to the ground, it marked the complete end of this terrifying battle. Call. The golden-winged demon's body was wrapped in countless thunder runes as soon as it fell to the ground, and then disappeared like that. When it reappeared, it had already entered the black soil of the chaotic space. The hidden dragon warriors were all injured, covered in blood, and some even had cracks all over their bodies, almost bursting. But they all persevered in the end and won this almost impossible battle. They all felt incredible, as if they were in a dream. That was the Chaos Demon Emperor, who was killed in their hands. It can be said that this battle has completely established their self-confidence. These demon emperors are powerful, but unfortunately, they have not met the conditions for recovery at all. The blonde man forcibly used his blood essence to wake them up before he died, but before they absorbed the power of heaven and earth and activated their bodies, Long Chen's sky the robbery is coming. This catastrophe is not only accompanied by the power of thunder from the most rigid to the sun, but also the peak embodiment of modern laws, which restrain them to death, and they are stripped away by the catastrophe before they wake up. It's a pity that they didn't even use 1% of their power, and they were killed just like that. However, even so, they are still extremely terrifying existences. The blonde man is just their little brother, which shows how terrifying they were before they were alive. The hidden dragon warriors fought fiercely together, and they were still in danger. They were almost wiped out by the group several times, and everyone was injured. Many people wandered on the edge of death and came back. Fortunately, no one was killed. Boom! At this time, the power of heavenly tribulation became stronger and stronger, and the will to destroy became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, hundreds of millions of thunder dragons enveloped the sky, blocking heavenly tribulation. These thunder dragons were transformed by Lei Linger. Before, everyone had to use the power of heavenly tribulation to deal with the golden-winged demon. Now that the golden-winged heavenly demon has been killed, and everyone has been severely injured, if the heavenly tribulation is allowed to continue to bombard and kill, the lives of the hidden dragon warriors will be lost. The endless thunder dragons interweave into a 10,000 dragon shield to firmly block the heavenly tribulation. The violent heavenly tribulation, after being filtered by her, not only will not bring harm to everyone, but will speed up everyone's recovery. Of course, Lei Linger also took the opportunity to gorge himself, frantically devouring the power of Kuang Lei to strengthen himself. Hurry up and recover, because the heavenly tribulation has the participation of the golden-winged heavenly demon and your seniors. Time and space have been distorted, and its power will become stronger and stronger. And this kind of catastrophe, for us, is a tempering that spans time and space. This opportunity is rare, so don't miss it. Long Chen just woke up from the sedation state, watching the robbery cloud above the 9 heavens trembling non-stop, looking weird, and said to everyone. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but feel refreshed. No wonder they felt endless chaotic energy during the catastrophe. It turned out that the catastrophe distorted time and space. Long Chen, let me introduce you. Seeing Long Chen wake up, Tang Weiner hurried to Long Chen's side and brought him in front of Feng Wuji and others. Feng Wuji didn't wait for Tang Weiner to finish the introduction, and said with a slight smile, "No need to introduce. The descendant of 9 stars is very famous, no one doesn't know. The little brother's miraculous skills are superb, his ambition is soaring, he strategizes, and everything is under control, which makes Wuji admire." Not only Feng Wuji, but all the strong men of the Fengshen lineage around him were full of admiration in their eyes. Although Long Chen is only an earth sage, he has no fear in the face of the demon emperor. His calm demeanor is convincing. Originally, Long Chen was dissatisfied because Feng Wuji and others did not take action in time, interrupting the blood sacrifice of the blonde man and wasting these corpses for nothing. But now, people praised him so much, no matter how thick-skinned Long Chen was, he felt a little embarrassed. "Boy is arrogant. If you offend me, please forgive me, seniors." Long Chen clasped his fists and said, "Your Excellency, you are being polite. Originally, we reserved our strength to make a complete end with these guys and complete the battle of fate. But I didn't expect that, little brother, you have the ability to defy the sky, forcibly cut off our karma, broke the shackles of the blood curse, and let us be free. I am afraid that you will only repay us in the next life for your great kindness." After Feng Wuji finished speaking, he saluted Long Chen. "Senior, you are too polite." Long Chen hurriedly returned the gift. "This is Tang Weiner's senior, and Long Chen didn't dare to be too big. Right now, our power is useless, so give it to the warriors of my Fengshen lineage. It's great to meet you." Feng Wuji looked at Tang Weiner and the Yinlong warriors, with a touch of relief in his eyes, slowly stretched out his hands, and made a seal on his chest. Following his movements, the others also formed seals at the same time. Feng Wuji murmured in a low voice, "Bye now, hum." Suddenly, the figures of Feng Wuji and others disintegrated between the heaven and the earth, turning into endless white runes, flying towards Tang Weiner and others. The rune was as white as snow, with a vast sacred power, enveloping everyone. Their bodies trembled suddenly. At that moment, a vast amount of information flooded into their minds. Feng Wuji and the others shared all of their lifetime experience and insights with them, but they did not pass on their supernatural powers to them. Because this kind of teaching can easily affect their future upper limit, if they are force-fed by force-feeding, it will be difficult for them to surpass them in future achievements. But the experience is different. It is equivalent to giving them endless reference directions, making it easier to find answers, and raising their spiritual realm to a higher level. Tang Weiner and the others knew that this was extremely precious wealth, a gift given to them by their ancestors, and they absorbed it wholeheartedly, not daring to slack off in the slightest. "Didn't you leave me something?" Seeing Tang Weiner and the others is beneficial, but he alone has no hair. Moreover, if they can make a move earlier, the remaining Goldwing demons will not be wasted like this. The world began to tremble, and Long Chen clearly felt that the space beyond the heavenly tribulation began to become chaotic. The curse of the 8 gates is disintegrating, the law of the wind field battlefield is collapsing, and the wind field battlefield will disappear from now on. Long Chen felt emotional. The battlefield disappeared. Will anyone remember those heroes who sacrificed to protect the human race on the battlefield? Boom! At this moment, heavenly tribulation trembled crazily. Long Chen watched as Tang Weiner was digesting the sentiments left by Feng Wuji and the others, and their physical bodies could no longer absorb more thunder power. Long Chen said to Lei Linger, "You don't have to be polite, the rest of the power of heavenly tribulation is all yours." Boom! Hearing what Long Chen said, Lei Linger let out a dragon chant excitedly, and the billions of thunder dragons disappeared, turning into a giant dragon covering the sky with hundreds of millions of miles. It opened its mouth wide, and a huge vortex emerged. Long Chen was so startled that his eyeballs almost protruded. The endless clouds of calamity were slowly sucked into the vortex, and Lei Linger swallowed it in one gulp. At this moment, Long Chen's dantian trembled, and Long Chen opened his eyes and found that his immortal rune was finally combined with the spiritual root, and a group of spiritual energy took root on the Sanhua immortal rune. Just when Long Chen wanted to see what happened to his spiritual root after he advanced to Heavenly Sage, suddenly Long Chen's hair stood on end, and a death threat enveloped him instantly. Long Chen hurriedly looked into the distance, and he saw a man with silver hair rushing towards him with a ferocious face. "Nima, you really know how to pick your time." Long Chen cursed angrily. Chapter 54-35 The moment Feng Wuji and others disappeared, Long Chen felt something was wrong. They disappeared, and the 8 curses were also eliminated. The enchantment disappeared, and people outside could directly enter the wind field battlefield. That's why Long Chen let Lei Linger get rid of the catastrophe quickly, but Long Chen didn't expect that people would come so fast. It came quickly, it was nothing. The most unfortunate thing was that the person who came was silver-haired and empty. If Long Chen is in its heyday, even if the silver-haired residual sky comes, Long Chen will have nothing to fear. However, Long Chen had just been severely injured at this time, and his power was exhausted. At this time, he couldn't even use 30% of his power in his heyday, so how could he fight him? Long Chen knew that he had been unlucky all the time, but he couldn't bully others like this. This was taking advantage of his illness to kill him, as if everything had been arranged. Long Chen, let me see where you are going to escape this time. The silver-haired Ken Kong looked at Long Chen with a ferocious face and awe-inspiring killing intent. After receiving the message, he immediately came to the Fengyu battlefield. It's just that he came quietly, and he didn't want others to know that he was coming. His goal was Long Chen, but the bigger goal was the Qiankuan cauldron in Long Chen's hand. The Qiankuan Ding has too much to do with it. It is one of the top 10 chaotic artifacts, a treasure that everyone dreams of. Even if it is silver-haired and empty, it is afraid that others will be jealous. Hey, that's what I said. Don't say this time, even if it was the last time, it wasn't me who escaped. Long Chen said disdainfully. Long Chen's head was spinning rapidly. At this time, he didn't have the strength to fight the silver-haired King Kong at all, so he had to find a way. After listening to Long Chen's words, the silver-haired King Kong almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Last time, under his carelessness, he suffered consecutive losses, and finally was severely injured by Bai Long Chen and had to escape. Now that Long Chen mentioned this matter, it was like tearing his scars. He was frightened and angry, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Hand over the Qiankuan cauldron, and I can consider leaving you a whole corpse. If you want the Qiankuan Ding, no problem, just answer me a question." Long Chen said with a serious face. "What's the problem?" the silver-haired King Kong asked. "What's your mother's name?" Long Chen asked. The silver-haired King Kong was stunned for a moment, not understanding what Long Chen meant, but later he realized that Long Chen was deliberately humiliating him. Court death. The silver-haired remnant Kong was furious, and the throne of God emerged behind him. The divine light illuminated the universe, and Long Chen felt the space freeze for a moment. His coercion was countless times stronger than that of the blonde man. Long Chen was startled. How could this silver-haired Kong be so much stronger than last time? Idiot, do you think my strength is so small? Let me tell you, the last time, it was because I had just obtained the throne of God, and I have not yet been able to exert the power of the throne of God. Although I still don't have the power to control the throne of the gods, I have already resonated with it. Just this little power of the gods is not something that ants like you can fight against. The silver-haired remnant Kong said coldly, "Hand over the Qiankuan cauldron." However, just now when he said this, he suddenly saw Tang Weiner and the others surrounded by endless divine light behind Long Chen. When he saw those divine lights, his pupils shrank suddenly. What a pure power of the gods! He sensed the divine power left behind by Feng Wuji and the others. He is also a spiritual cultivator and is particularly sensitive to fluctuations in various divine powers. Suddenly, his eyes rolled, and a sinister smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "If I don't hand over the Qiankuan cauldron, I will crush these girls to death first." The silver-haired King Kong suddenly thought that Long Chen and these girls were in the same group, and if they were used to blackmail Long Chen, he was not afraid that Long Chen would not submit. This guy shot as soon as he said he would. He opened his big hand and grabbed Tang Weiner from the air. This guy was very shrewd. He sensed that Long Chen and Tang Weiner had an unusual relationship, so he shot Tang Weiner directly. Boom! However, the moment he shot, a thunder spear, carrying endless Tianwei, stabbed towards him. "It's you again, die for me." The one who made the shot was Lei Linger. The silver-haired King Kong recognized her aura, and suffered a big loss in her hands last time. Boom! There was a loud explosion, and the lightning spear burst out in Lei Linger's hand, flying backwards. Puff! And the big hand with silver hair and empty space was also exploded by this shot, dripping with blood, and his muscles and bones were turned outwards. He had a horrified expression on his face. The power of chaos? How is it possible? The silver-haired King Kong discovered that Lei Linger's blow contained the law of chaos, and the power of his throne could not completely protect his palm. Just when the silver-haired King Kong and Lei Linger fought recklessly, Lei Linger appeared above the 9 heavens. She recited the great Brahma Sutra, and Long Chen appeared behind her, pressing her back with one hand. Only all the remaining soul power was sent to Lei Linger. Boom! While Hua Linger was reciting the great Brahma Sutra, the void behind her kept exploding, and then one after another suns emerged. As soon as each sun appeared, it exploded with a loud bang, and a golden crow of thousands of miles emerged, and thousands of golden crows emerged, and the power of the flames in the entire world was absorbed by them in an instant under the blessing of the Brahma Sutra. A flaming lotus flower appeared in Hua Linger's hand, and it rapidly enlarged, covering the entire sky in an instant, swallowing all the golden crows in it. Immediately afterwards, the huge flaming lotus shrank rapidly, and finally it was only the size of a palm. However, when it shrunk for a moment, the sky and the earth kept trembling, and the heavens kept whining. It made the whole world fear it. Looking at the endless golden crows flying on the small flame lotus, the silver-haired King Kong felt his scalp go numb. If he was hit by this thing, it would kill him. When the silver-haired King Kong was attracted by Hua Linger's flaming lotus, Lei Linger opened his jade hand, and the endless thunder symbols gathered to form a long thunder sword, which fell from the back of the silver-haired King Kong. Roll! The silver-haired King Kong opened his big hand, holding the long sword in his hand. The throne of God trembled, and a sword chi shot out. Boom! The thunder sword in Lei Linger's hand was shattered by the silver-haired King Kong. He knew that Lei Linger was deliberately distracting him to create opportunities for Hua Linger. However, he had just shattered Lei Linger's blow, and suddenly his back felt cold, and a long knife as black as ink had already pierced his vest. What? The silver-haired remnant Kong had a horrified look on his face. At this time, Long Chen held the dragon bone Xiaoyu and stabbed him fiercely. However, the silver-haired body-protecting divine light was too terrifying. Long Chen's knife only pierced 3 inches into his back, and he couldn't go any further. The silver-haired King Kong was shocked and angry. He clearly saw Long Chen behind Hua Linger. Why did he appear behind him? However, when Long Chen stabbed him, Hua Linger seemed to have teleported, and had already arrived in front of him, and the flaming lotus in her hand was fiercely imprinted on his chest. Death to me, the wrath of Brahma, the light that destroys the world. The silver-haired King Kong let out a roar, and the throne of God behind him suddenly appeared above his head, and a ray of divine light descended, enveloping him. Then the endless divine light, with the silver-haired residual space as the core, rushed rapidly in all directions. Chapter 54:36 The divine light appeared, and Long Chen's soul was instantly icy cold, as if he was about to be frozen, and the strong breath of death enveloped him. Long Chen didn't have time to pull out the Kiel Shiyue, and the person flew backwards like a bolt of lightning. He knew that if he was hit head-on by that divine light, he would definitely die. While Long Chen was retreating, Lei Linger rushed forward crazily. She was originally behind Long Chen, and when she passed by Long Chen, she slammed into the divine light. Boom! Lei Linger was hit by that divine light, and instantly turned into thunder runes all over the sky. The thunder runes raged, and Long Chen was blown away by the powerful shock wave. However, even if Long Chen was thrown hundreds of miles away, he was still caught up by the divine light. Puff! Long Chen spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was deformed under the pressure of the divine light. All the bones in his body were crushed, and his body seemed to be falling apart. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Tang Weiner and the others also woke up from the state of trance. When they saw the terrifying divine light, they were slammed into the air before they could understand what was going on. It's just that the Shinto runes around them offset most of their strength, so Tang Weiner and the others didn't get hurt much. Boom! At this moment, there was a shocking explosion, and the flaming lotus in Hua Linger's hand pierced through the divine light and imprinted fiercely on the silver-haired King Kong's body. The silver-haired King Kong used the power of the throne, which is the power of God endowed by Brahma, invincible and invincible. It's just that the silver-haired King Kong has not completely controlled the throne, and can only use a little bit of the power of the throne, but even this little bit of power is enough to kill all the powerhouses below the emperor. However, Huolinger's blow contained all of her own power and gathered all the power of the Golden Crow, and her power was compressed to the extreme. Silver-haired Remnant Kong's attack was a super wide-range attack, and Huolinger used points to break the surface, one dispersed and the other concentrated. As a result, silver-haired Remnant Kong's strike severely injured Lei Linger and Long Chen, but failed to destroy Huolinger. Linger's blow. The moment the flame lotus touched the divine light, it twisted violently, the space stopped for a moment, and then it just broke through the divine light and hit the body of the silver-haired King Kong. Endless flames erupted, and Huolinger and the lotus flower exploded together. A huge mushroom cloud bloomed in the void, and endless fragments of time and space flew in the cloud, and the entire void split open rapidly like a mirror. Puff, the silver-haired Remnant Kong, spewed out a mouthful of blood, and a blood hole appeared in his chest. Huolinger's blow almost blew him in two. The silver-haired Remnant Kong's face was distorted to the extreme. He was extremely careful, but he fell into Long Chen's way and was injured again. This was a huge humiliation for the proud him. Damn little bastard. The silver-haired Ken Kong gritted his teeth, took a step forward, and rushed straight towards Long Chen. However, as soon as he moved his footsteps, the fierce sword energy tore through the void, and the supreme divine brilliance flowed towards the silver-haired residual space. Boom! The silver-haired Remnant Kong slapped out with a palm, and the sharp sword energy was shattered by his palm. At this moment, a beautiful figure appeared in front of Long Chen. "Wainer, get out of the way, let me deal with him." Long Chen gritted his teeth. He knew that Tang Wainer was definitely not a silver-haired and empty opponent. Although he had been severely injured now, he still had a whole card. "No, this time, let me protect you. I have vowed to myself countless times that one day, I will stand in front of you and prop up a shelter from the wind for you." Tang Wainer held the long sword in her hand and stared at the silver-haired Zon Kongdao. "Wainer, cough cough." Long Chen felt anxious and coughed up blood continuously. Xiaoye and the others hurried over to support Long Chen. Tang Wainer said to Xiaoye and the others, "You step back first, let me meet this guy." The silver-haired King Kong looked at Tang Wainer with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. "Since you want to die in front of him, I will help you first. Then it depends on whether you have the ability." Tang Wainer's face turned cold, and the long sword slowly swung, drawing a circle in front of her body. When the long sword turned, a figure gradually emerged from the moon in the vision behind Tang Wainer. That figure was slender and graceful. It was obviously a woman's figure, and her face could not be seen clearly, but just by a vague figure, one could feel that she had a magnificent temperament. When that figure appeared, Tang Wainer's whole body glowed, and a sacred light enveloped her body. At that moment, Tang Wainer's demeanor completely changed. She was noble and glamorous, like a goddess descended into the world. Long Chen looked at the moon shadow in the vision behind Tang Wainer, and then at the divine radiance that permeated Tang Wainer's body. Long Chen's heart beat wildly. He seemed to have thought of something incredible. Could it be? At this moment, the long sword in Tang Wainer's hand pointed straight at the sky, and endless Shinto runes flowed out from the vision behind Tang Wainer and poured into the long sword. When he saw this scene, the silver-haired King Kong's face changed drastically, and he waved his big hand, holding a long sword in his hand, which was his divine blade. The silver-haired Remnant Kong stabbed out with a sword. As one of the 8 great gods of Brahma and the master of the power of the divine way, he could tell at a glance that Tang Wainer's blow was a blow of divine power blessing. The bright moon in Tang Wainer's vision is like his throne of God, from which he can summon the power of the divine way. If it was normal, Tang Wainer's attack might not have taken him seriously, but before he was hit continuously, the big hole in his chest could not be healed, and he couldn't bear the severe impact at all. He had to take a step to interrupt Tang Wainer children's energy storage. Tang Wainer murmured in a low voice and prayed sincerely, "Great Fengshen, please obey your disciples' call, and use your supreme divine power to help disciples kill treacherous evil. Pu Xia Feng Weizhan." Following Tang Wainer's last shout, the long sword slashed down rapidly, and the divine will penetrated the long sword. This sword cut the sky and the earth. Boom! Tang Weiner's long sword slashed on the silver-haired long sword, and on top of the two long swords, endless divine power intertwined and exploded. Long Chen made seals with his hands, and his closed eyes suddenly opened. Just as Long Chen was about to use the Eye of Purgatory to pull Tang Weiner back, Long Chen suddenly saw a figure appearing in front of Tang Weiner. Boom, boom, boom. The divine power of the two collided, and the explosion shook the sky, and the violent power of the divine way washed away the world like a tsunami. Long Chen was afraid that Tang Weiner would not be able to withstand the force of the erosion, so just as he was about to make a move, he saw Yi Lingkong with a broadsword appearing in front of Tang Weiner. He opened one hand, and the void twisted outward, forming a huge shield, protecting Tang Weiner behind him. When the terrifying roar disappeared, the void gradually returned to calm. People saw the silver-haired remnant Kong with disheveled hair, holding a long sword in his hand, and blood was slowly dripping along his long sword. The silver-haired King Kong was injured, and countless cracks appeared on his entire arm. Tang Weiner's blow almost shattered his arm. When he saw Yi Lingkong appearing, Long Chen finally let out a long sigh of relief. "Brother, you are here. If you don't come, we will die." "Friends, stop here." Yi Lingkong looked at the silver-haired King Kong with bloody hands and a hideous face, still holding a grass stalk in his mouth, and said calmly, "Whoever is your friend, die for me." The silver-haired remnant Kong roared angrily, and slashed towards Yi Lingkong with the divine brilliance blade in his hand. Chapter 54:37 Boom! The strike of the silver-haired King Kong is extremely powerful. With the power of a throne attached, it has the power to destroy the world. However, a broad sword full of ancient runes blocked its way at this moment. Not only blocked its slash, but also offset all the aftermath of his blow. Originally, Long Chen and others were still thinking about how to resist this terrifying impact force. You must know that Long Chen can't bear such a terrifying force in his current state. Tang Weiner used the power of taboo. At this time, her complexion was pale and she was extremely weak. Both of them were extremely weak, but Long Chen still held Tang Weiner. Half of her body was in front of her. This is Long Chen's instinct. As long as he still has a breath, he must not allow anyone to hurt his confidant. However, seeing that everything was under Yi Lingkong's control, Long Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Tang Weiner saw that Long Chen was already weak like this, and she still wanted to protect her. She was moved and uncomfortable for a while. She thought that she could protect Long Chen by using the taboo technique, but she didn't expect that she almost is still too far away. In fact, it's not that Tang Weiner is weak, but that she doesn't know what the 8 great gods of Brahma mean. Buzzing, the silver-haired remnant Kong pressed down on the long sword in his hand, and the blade of the god's sword shone brightly, but no matter how much power he exercised, he still couldn't shake Yi Lingkong's broadsword. "The power of the night? Are you from the Night Clan?" Silver-haired King Kong shouted in shock and anger. "It doesn't matter which clan I am. What matters is that your body has been severely injured now. The throne of God has been injured by the power of Fengshen Yuanyang. Didn't you realize that your throne has begun to turmoil? If you don't stop, the throne is not stable and it may abandon you, and then you will no longer have the position of the 8 great gods." Yi Lingkong held the broadsword in one hand, and there was a strange aura circulating around him. That aura seemed to be an invisible vortex, constantly devouring the energy between the heaven and the earth, and the power of the silver-haired emptiness disappeared slowly in front of the vortex, which looked extremely strange. "Night Clan?" Long Chen was startled. Yi Lingkong was from the Dark Yi clan? Wait, surname Yi? Unintentional wind and moon, silent night and silent night. Long Chen's heart moved, and he suddenly heard Dong Ming, "Yes, master," the terrifying killer known as one of the 9 heavens and 10 places. "Even if the throne is in turmoil, I still have the ability to kill you," the silver-haired King Kong said angrily. "That's a bit of a big word. No matter what, I'm also the left envoy of the Fengshen, and the power of the Fengshen I carry must be a bit more than that of the goddess. Her Fengshen power can hurt the Yuanyang power of your throne. I think my strength should be about the same as yours at the peak. Now if you face me, you have no chance of winning, you will only humiliate yourself. I'm lazy, I know I can't kill you, so I don't want to waste my energy, you better go, so as not to humiliate yourself. Yi Ling Kong bit the grass stalk and persuaded kindly. Who? The silver-haired King Kong was startled and angry, and the god's blade in his hand oppressed Yi Ling Kong several times in a row, but he couldn't help it. The silver-haired King Kong was about to die of anger. Before coming, he warned himself that he must be careful of Long Chen. This kid has many tricks, so don't be careless. As a result, just after meeting her face, she was severely injured by his blow. Hua Linger's blow contained all her fire laws, including the flames of Yen Su, the fire of the sun, the fire of the moon, the flame of ice soul, etc. Wait for the power of fire. These are the top 10 flames on the Skyfire ranking. Even if he was severely injured by a blow, the law of flames remaining in his body could not be eliminated. He used the power of the throne of God to temporarily suppress these laws, but in this way, the throne of God was distracted and lacked strength. He fought Tang Weiner head-on, and suffered another big loss. He never dreamed that a little girl would be blessed with such a precise power of the gods and hurt Yuanyang, the throne of gods. The so-called Yuanyang is the Yuanyang Qi of the throne of God, which is the root of the throne, and if the root is damaged, the throne will start to shake. This god's throne is not his silver-haired stump, but Brahma's. To put it bluntly, it is the god's seat given to them by Brahma. The throne of God has its own will. Its goal is to be loyal to Brahma, not Yin-haired King Kong. If silver-haired King Kong can't do it, it can remove the seal of the throne at any time, abolish silver-haired King Kong, and then choose another candidate. This throne of gods was an opportunity that the silver-haired King Kong had waited for countless years, so he naturally didn't dare to take the risk. You, wait for me. The silver-haired King Kong gritted his teeth and pointed at Long Chen. Obviously, he hated Long Chen the most. That's what you said last time, too. Go away, practice hard when you go back. Don't get disgraced and injured every time, your parents will feel distressed when they see it. Long Chen waved his hand and warned. You, poof. Suddenly, the throne behind the silver-haired remnant Kong trembled, and a mouthful of blood spewed out wildly. It turned out that under the rage, his mind was scattered, and he couldn't control the power of the throne properly, which caused the damage Hua Linger brought to him to explode rapidly. Let's go. Before leaving, I sprayed a mouthful of dung. It really belongs to you. Long Chen sneered. In fact, seeing the silver hair vomited blood, Long Chen really wanted to take action immediately, taking advantage of his illness to kill him. However, Long Chen also knew that it was almost impossible to kill him, as long as the throne of God was there, not to mention him who was already at the end of his strength, even Yi Ling Kong couldn't do it. So Yi Ling Kong didn't bother to make a move, because he knew that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't kill the silver-haired King Kong. You wait for me. The silver-haired King Kong gritted his teeth, and his figure disappeared in a flash. He couldn't stay here anymore. He needed to find a place to heal his injuries immediately. At the same time, if he stayed here, he was afraid of being pissed off by Long Chen. This guy's mouth is too bad up. It's strange, why didn't those crooked melons and dates appear? Long Chen was a little strange. It stands to reason that those strong men outside the Finyu battlefield must have killed them immediately, but they have never been seen. Silver-haired Remnant Kong has set up a divine way barrier. Except for me, they can't get in. This guy is unlucky enough. The divine power consumed by this divine way barrier is extremely terrifying. Yi Ling Kong spread his hands. The implication of Yi Ling Kong's words was that if the silver-haired King Kong didn't expend so much divine power to set up the barrier, Long Chen and Tang Weiner might not be able to hurt him. The 8 great gods of the great Brahma, what a noble status, to be beaten so embarrassingly by 2 disciples. This ending cannot help but make people embarrassing. Long Chen knew that silver-haired Remnant Kong arranged the Shinto enchantment just for the Qinkuan cauldron on his body. It seems that this guy's obsession is quite deep. This guy's Shinto enchantment has been removed, those annoying guys are coming, I'm too lazy to talk to them, and am going to take everyone back. Long Chen, Do you want to leave with us first, or? Yi Lingkong said. I won't go back with you guys. They'll go to the southwest and pass through a turbulent space, and then I can go straight to the Dragon Realm. Long Chen said. After finishing speaking, Long Chen looked at Tang Weiner. Although Tang Weiner felt very reluctant, she also knew that Long Chen was going to join the Dragon Blood Warrior, so she could only tell him a few words. Long Chen waved goodbye to the crowd and flew straight to the southwest, disappearing in an instant. Let's go. With a wave of Yi Lingkong's hand, the space around everyone was distorted, and they all disappeared. Just as they disappeared, countless strong men rushed towards this side like a tide, but they came a step too late and saw nothing except the shocking battlefield in front of them. Chapter 5438 Buzz. In front of Long Chen, there is a crack in space, hundreds of miles wide, stretching to the sky. The cracks are not regular, just like the cracks formed after an earthquake. The dark red space in the cracks is turbulent, emitting harsh sonic booms, which is creepy. No one knows how this space crack was formed. Feng Xinyue once told Long Chen that this space turbulence is like a waterfall. After entering the turbulence, it will be washed to the boundary of Longyu. This is the fastest shortcut to reach the Dragon Realm, but to pass through the turbulent flow, you must have a strong body, a thick soul, and a firm will. A strong body must be able to withstand the crushing of the blade of space. The firm will is to fight against the chaos that emerges from the turbulent flow of space. Feng Xinyue told Long Chen that this turbulent space has swallowed countless innocent souls from the chaotic era. They are trapped here and will not enter hell or reincarnation. The turbulent flow of space is like a mobile prison, trapping them forever. Therefore, when a living creature enters it, it will be crazily attacked by these souls. If the power of the soul is not strong, it will be killed directly. Even if the other party cannot destroy the soul of a person, they will still display various visions to arouse people's emotions and desires, making people addicted to it and sinking forever. Before coming to the space crack, Long Chen didn't continue to move forward, but began to adjust his breath to heal his injuries. This time, Long Chen's consumption was very serious. Especially when he was blown away by the silver-haired residual divine light, his whole Bodis bones were broken, and he ran all the way, all supported by the remaining power of Lei Linger and Huolinger until now. Huolinger and Lei Linger also tried their best. It wasn't that they were not strong enough, but that the silver-haired residual space was too terrifying, and the god's throne was simply a perverted existence. However, Huolinger and Lei Linger recovered very quickly, and the dragon body had already condensed in the chaotic space, and the shattered golden crow had also been reborn, lying on the ancient hibiscus tree like butterflies, sucking greedily. With energy. The silver hair is empty, right? You wait for me this time. Next time I see you, if you don't beat your human head into a dog's head, I won't be called Long Sanj. Long Chen gritted his teeth. In this battle, Long Chen was high-spirited, brave, and invincible. After fighting the endless silver-winged demons, the blonde man, and the blonde man, another pair of gold-winged demon corpses. The golden-winged demon corpse was already exhausted after fighting. At this time, the silver-haired corpse came, which is really unlucky. After advancing to the rank of Heavenly Sage, Long Chen's strength soared, and he was eager to fight against Een-haired Ken Kong again. He felt that even if he was not the opponent of silver-haired Ken Kong, he still had the strength to fight. At least he could retreat completely. As a result, the silver-haired remnant Kong that he was thinking about appeared at the last moment when it shouldn't have appeared. If it weren't for Yi Lingkong, Long Chen would be playing a big knife in his crotch this time, which is enough to choke. Aggrieved, as much aggrieved as you want. Fortunately, Long Chen is used to the bad luck. If it were someone else, he would probably be pissed to death. However, there is no way to return chi to chi. To put it bluntly, it is still not strong enough. If it is really strong enough, even if it continues to fight, it can still kill the silver-haired Ken Kong. That is absolute strength. Long Chen suppressed the anger in his heart, tried his best to calm himself down, and began to heal his wounds. When he was calm, a mass of heat flow in his dantian slowly flowed to his limbs and bones. Long Chen's broken bones began to regenerate at a speed visible to the naked eye. Stitched together. This? Surprised and delighted, Long Chen hurriedly looked at his dantian, only to see the 3 leaves formed by the immortal rune in the dantian, slowly turning, and in the core of the 3 leaves, a ball of flames was circulating. That flame was exactly his root chi, and the 3 leaves fused with the root chi to form a strange 3-flower shape. When the 3 flowers were circulating, the endless immortal runes on the 3-flower map quickly spread to Long Chen's bones along with the flame of root energy. Immortal rune, refined by spirit root gas, formed a gel-like liquid, which quickly glued Long Chen's bones together. After gluing together, Long Chen found that the immortal rune poured in along the broken part of the bone, and was quickly absorbed by the bone, and then small spots appeared on Long Chen's bone. These blemishes could not be seen at first, but soon, Long Chen discovered that the blemishes were grains of immortal runes. Long Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that after his bones recovered, they became stronger at an astonishing speed. Slower? Long Chen suddenly screamed, and immediately stepped on the void, and with a bang, a boulder beside him was smashed into pieces. The bone that Long Chen had just repaired was shattered again, and the chi of the spiritual root tirelessly repaired the broken part of the bone. However, Long Chen found that, as he expected, the strength of the bone had once again increased by 1 point. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing this scene, Long Chen was like a lunatic, frantically looking for stones to hit, and soon the surrounding stones were all smashed by him, and Long Chen went to hit the mountain, specifically picking those solid stone mountains to hit. Long Chen found that as his bones were constantly damaged, every time they were repaired, immortal runes would pour into the bones. Long Chen understood at once that his natal immortal rune was originally used in this way, and he had never understood how to drive the power of the immortal rune. Now he finally understands that his immortal rune needs the fire of his spiritual root to be effective. The immortal rune continuously repaired Long Chen's bones, and finally imprinted the immortal rune on Long Chen's bones, and the power of immortality completely penetrated the whole body. Long Chen clearly felt that his bones were being strengthened crazily, and every time he repaired them, the strength of his bones became stronger. Bone is the strongest support of the human body and the foundation of strength. Only when the bones are strong enough can we control stronger strength. Boom, boom, boom. Long Chen was like a lunatic, crazily crashing into the mountains, trying to prevent the bones from healing. However, the surrounding high mountains were quickly wiped out by Long Chen. Long Chen swung his arms round and hit himself, trying not to let the wound heal quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Long Chen has been busy for a full hour. As the body is constantly being repaired, the strength of the bones is getting stronger and stronger. In the end, no matter how much Long Chen uses, he can't damage his bones, and finally the bones are completely healed. Boom, Long Chen punched in the void exploded, and the wind howled. Above Long Chen's fist, a vacuum of hundreds of miles appeared. This vacuum was distorted rapidly, and the violent power spread rapidly in all directions. Good guy, the strength of the physical body has increased by at least 10 times. Long Chen himself was stunned. He didn't expect that after condensing the immortal bone, the strength of the physical body soared so much. It turns out that the physical body is strong, but the bones are not strong, so it is impossible to exert the power that the physical body should have. Now that the immortal bones have been condensed, the soaring power has scared even Long Chen. Silver-haired and empty, right? Damn, look at your broken reputation. Next time I see you, I will definitely beat you to nothing. Long Chen clenched his fists, feeling the strength of his whole body. At that moment he was full of confidence. Chapter 5439 Advanced Heavenly Sage. Long Chen can be considered to have truly mastered the use of immortal power, and Long Chen's immortal power must be released through the spiritual root. After the broken bones were repaired, the power of immortality began to repair Long Chen's body. However, Long Chen wanted to repeat the same trick, but found that the body was repaired repeatedly, but it had no effect. Long Chen later discovered that the power of his blood did not seem to allow the immortal runes to enter them, and the range of activities of the immortal runes was limited to Long Chen's dantian and bones. 3 days later, Long Chen's physical body also recovered in 7s and 80s. Although he has not fully recovered in terms of Long Chen's current combat effectiveness, he has become a different person after he advanced to the Heavenly Sage. Long Chen took a look at the Xinghai, and the Xinghai at this time is no longer the previous Xinghai. The battle through time and space has brought about a qualitative change in them. The 8 stars are no longer the previous 8 stars. On each star, there are chaotic runes circulating. Although these runes are almost completely transparent, they have unparalleled power. It's just that if you want them to exert their power, it seems that you have to activate them, and to activate them, you need more power of stars. The power of the stars cannot be supplemented by Nye Chong Dan. It needs Long Chen to communicate with the stars above the 9 heavens, establish a connection, and capture their power to activate it. However, it seems that Long Chen doesn't need to worry about all of this, because there is a guy who seems to be more curious and caring than him. This guy is Yaoshi Star Crystal. It swims back and forth in Long Chen's sea of stars, looking extremely excited. Sometimes it will turn into stars such as Fengfu, Yuheng, and Siming to touch those runes curiously. This guy seems to understand the needs of these runes better than Long Chen. After he figured out these runes, Yaoshi Star Crystal returned to Long Chen's sea of stars, and he curled himself up and tied a strange knot. When the knot appeared, Long Chen found that the star sea in his dantian was communicating with the stars all the time. Long Chen could even sense that these 2 kinds of power were being exchanged through the shining star crystal. Long Chen knew very little about the shining star crystal, not even the Qingkuan cauldron. It only told Long Chen to treat this shining star crystal well. It was of great use to Long Chen. Long Chen didn't know how to treat it kindly, so he just let it go. Now it took the initiative to help Long Chen again, which made Long Chen feel a lot easier. He might as well be a lazy person. The power of the stars should be handed over to him. Let it take care of it. After that, Long Chen turned all his mind into the chaotic space. He found that the aura in the chaotic space is frighteningly rich, and the aura is full of chaotic energy. At the same time, the chaotic space is filled with the law of chaos. The ancient hibiscus tree and the wood of the sun are still growing rapidly, their breath is getting more and more terrifying, and the power of the flame is getting more and more pure. When Long Chen was in it, he would feel tremendous pressure, and countless runes appeared on the trunks, branches, and leaves of the heavenly Tao tree and the 7-treasure glazed glass tree in the center of the black soil, overlapping each other, making them more and more mysterious. Under the heavenly Tao tree, the mysterious ancient vine has grown to a height of 3 feet, almost as thick as a human's little finger. Although it is still in its infancy and looks extremely immature, the black lightning around it is getting more and more fierce. When Long Chen approached it, its leaves floated slowly, as if coquettish with Long Chen. Long Chen stretched out his big hand and slowly touched its leaves. When he touched its protective cover, all the hairs on Long Chen's body stood up instantly. Long Chen didn't sense any danger, and knew that the mysterious gutting had no malice towards him, but the terrifying lightning around it and the inherent evil aura made Long Chen feel nervous instinctively. Buzz! When Long Chen's hand touched the leaves of the mysterious ancient vine, Long Chen felt its soul fluctuations, and also felt its deep admiration for himself. It seemed to have regarded Long Chen as a relative and treated him take no precautions. The mysterious ancient vine trembled slightly, and it seemed to be expressing something to Long Chen, but its soul fluctuations were so weird that Long Chen couldn't understand it. Don't worry, an Exine will grow up here. Maybe when you grow up, we can communicate. Long Chen comforted with a smile. Currently used, the app with the most complete and best audio for listening to books, integrated with 4 major speech synthesis engines, over 100 kinds of timbres, and an artifact that supports offline reading, Huanyuan app. Calm Source app. When Long Chen said this, the mysterious ancient vine stopped trembling. It seemed to understand Long Chen's words, and then slowly leaned towards the heavenly Tao tree without any movement. Long Chen looked at the huge heavenly Tao tree, but he never figured out what kind of existence it was. The heavenly Tao tree seemed as mysterious as the chaos orb. And this terrifying, mysterious ancient vine seemed to be a little afraid of it, and kept getting closer to it, but it seemed to be very proud, and kept ignoring the mysterious ancient vine. Looking up at the sky, Long Chen looked like a round of golden lotus seeds shining brightly, and the entire chaotic space was full of vitality under its illumination. Looking at this mysterious golden lotus seed, Long Chen couldn't help but think of the graceful and luxurious lady with endless wisdom in her eyes. This was something given to him by Aunt Gong. Since then, the mysterious Aunt Gong has never appeared again. Now, Long Chen killed monsters continuously, and the golden lotus seed had undergone a qualitative change. Long Chen felt endless energy from it. But the strange thing is that that kind of energy does not have any lethality, and it seems that it cannot form the power of destruction, but its power is awe-inspiring. That kind of awe comes from the depths of the human soul. So far, Long Chen can use its power. It seems that only when facing the Yen Su lineage, or when facing the power of the Ghost Emperor, the rest of the time, Long Chen can't even communicate with it. I don't know why, when Long Chen looks at it, he will feel warm, feel at ease, and feel peaceful in his soul. Long Chen smiled. He didn't know many secrets, except for the mysterious golden lotus seeds, such as the Qiankuan Cauldron, the Dragon Bone Evil Moon, the Heavenly Dao Tree, the 7 Treasure Glazed Glass Tree, and this almost omnipotent chaotic space. In short, there are too many things he doesn't know, and sometimes he doesn't even know who he is. Long Chen sighed. If you don't know, you don't know. Perhaps, time is the key to unlocking all the secrets. Anyway, he believes that sooner or later, all the secrets will eventually come to light. Of course, there is a prerequisite for this, that is, he must be alive, so his top priority is to improve his strength and not be killed. After thinking through all this, Long Chen came to a corner of the chaotic space, and in this corner, there were 22 corpses lying neatly. The corpses of the 22 golden-winged demons. When Long Chen saw their strength clearly, a smile of expectation appeared on Long Chen's face. I don't know how many puppets can be successfully refined. It's really exciting. After Long Chen finished speaking, he formed seals with his hands. When his palms were separated, a large blood-colored rune appeared in front of him and slowly fell towards one of the corpses. Chapter 5440 The blood curse rune fell on the demon corpse, and the rune was absorbed instantly, and then Long Chen's soul power dropped rapidly, and the power of purple blood was crazily drawn. Long Chen was taken aback. He didn't expect that casting the heavenly soul blood curse on the golden winged demon would consume such a huge amount. Half of the power of the soul was drained in an instant, and almost 80% of the power of the purple blood was drained. Such a terrifying consumption is really astonishing. As expected of a demon emperor-level corpse, if it succeeds. Long Chen's heart beat wildly. Buzz! When the blood curse rune fell on the head of the golden-winged demon's corpse, purple divine radiance glowed all over the body, and the purple divine radiance flowed back through the whole body, went straight to the top of the head, and finally concentrated on the eyes. Suddenly, the body of the golden-winged demon trembled violently and then opened its eyes. Purple runes appeared in its golden pupils, which were the blood curse runes condensed with the power of purple blood. Successful? Long Chen couldn't believe his eyes. He succeeded the first time. When did he become so lucky? Boom! Long Chen hit the chest of the golden-winged demon's corpse with his fist, making a strong roar. Long Chen felt the magic rune in its body, and it was rapidly awakening. Buzz! At this moment, the corpse of the golden-winged demon trembled, and a huge vortex appeared above its head, which was crazily devouring the energy in the chaotic space. Seeing this scene, Long Chen was not surprised but delighted. The blonde man had no ability to wake up these demon king-level golden-winged demons, causing their runes to be in a state of exhaustion. Now, it has become Long Chen's puppet, controlled by Long Chen's soul, and chaos space defaults that it is its own person, allowing it to absorb the power here to nourish itself. As the golden-winged heavenly demon kept absorbing the energy of the chaotic space, its breath became more and more terrifying, and the power of the imperial way kept fluctuating, as if it was really about to come back to life. But Long Chen knew that it couldn't survive. This was the awakening of the natal rune. Long Chen didn't know if this guy would activate all the runes, and he didn't know how much combat power it could recover. If it can restore 10% of its combat power in its heyday, it may be able to sweep away all powerhouses below the current emperor. I just don't know if he will be restrained by his throne of God when he meets the silver-haired King Kong. Long Chen thought to himself. Long Chen really wanted to find a chance to let this demon emperor puppet fight against silver-haired King Kong, but silver-haired King Kong has the throne of God, and the throne has the will of Brahma. Long Chen was afraid that the curse rune would be restrained by his divine power, causing if the puppet is out of control or destroyed, then Long Chen will cry. Forget it, I'll do the silver-haired King Kong myself, and you will keep it as my thug. Long Chen looked at the demon emperor's puppet whose runes kept flickering, and an excited smile appeared on the corner of Long Chen's mouth. Except for the silver-haired residual space, who can resist it? Long Chen formed a seal with his hands and cast the blood curse again, but the seal was half concentrated, and Long Chen was so frightened that he stopped quickly. Long Chen almost forgot that in his current state, if he casts the heavenly soul blood curse, if he lacks soul power and blood power, he will inevitably fail. Once the blood curse starts, it cannot be stopped. Once it stops, the rune power in the corpse will be destroyed. It will instantly lose balance and form a corpse explosion. Long Chen rested for a while, and after he recovered, he cast the heavenly soul blood curse again. However, this time he was not so lucky. Just after the blood curse was formed, the body of the golden-winged heavenly demon began to swell rapidly. Long Chen was so frightened that he hurriedly stopped and threw it into the black soil. Boom! With a muffled sound, the corpse exploded, but wrapped in the power of black soil, it didn't make much movement, and the range of the air wave formed was only 100 feet. Boom! Boom! After exploding 3 demon corpses in a row, the sweat on Long Chen's head came down. Don't be like this, just let me taste some sweetness. Did you start to slap me in the face? However, this time, Long Chen succeeded again, which made Long Chen feel relieved. Afterwards, Long Chen switched his mentality back and forth between failure and success. In the end, 8 of the 22 corpses were successfully refined into puppets. This success rate has far exceeded Long Chen's expectations, which made Long Chen ecstatic, and let them stay here, desperately absorbing the energy here. The more they absorb, the better. The runes on these puppets are all disposable, and when the runes are saturated, they can no longer store any energy. Moreover, after the energy in the rune is released, the rune will be completely invalid and can no longer be activated. Therefore, how powerful they can be depends on how much energy they can absorb. The silver-winged demon that Long Chen got from the green-haired parrot last time was of the inferior kind. Their runes are already half destroyed, and the energy that can be roughly stored is extremely limited, so it's all right if you don't make a move. When you make a move, you must release all your strength. Because they are not fully released, their runes can no longer be used, and all energy will dissipate and be wasted. But these gold-winged demons are different. Their runes are complete, and they are extremely resilient. They can fight for a long time until the energy in their bodies is exhausted. Hey, these 8 things look good. Why don't you give me one and let me try the knife? At this time, Long Gu Xie's evil laughter came. Don't make trouble, this thing is my strongest thug. Hey, are you awake? Long Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that Long Gu Xie had already woken up. Looking at Kiel Xiue, Long Chen couldn't help being startled. Why are you smoking? At this time, the dragon bone evil moon was suspended in the void, and the endless black air around him was constantly released. The evil breath made Long Chen feel numb. Before Long Gu Xie could finish speaking, she suddenly exclaimed that it was ejected from the chaotic space. Long Chen was startled and hurried out of the chaotic space, but when he saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help being stunned. In the blink of an eye, the black air of the dragon bone evil moon has filled the whole world. The stones on the ground that were smashed by the dragon dust were infected by the black air, and instantly decayed and scattered into ashes. What's wrong with you? Long Chen was so frightened that his mouth grew big. Now he understands why Qi Shiyue was kicked out by the chaotic space. Hey, I don't know what's wrong, but I feel very good, better than ever, full of strength, and I want to find a decent opponent. Long Guxia laughed. Even the laughter was so evil. It was activated by the law of chaos, and its original rune has begun to awaken. This guy may go bad, you have to be careful. At this time, the voice of Qian Kuanding came. The void trembled, and the Qinkuan cauldron also appeared in the void, but when he saw the appearance of the Qinkuan cauldron, Long Chen was taken aback again. Chapter 54-41 I saw that all the copper rust on the body of Qinkuan cauldron had all fallen off, and the body of the cauldron was no longer dry and rotten, and there was a trace of luster in the texture. The aura of Qinkuanding has completely changed. It is graceful, luxurious, sacred and solemn. It is no longer the dilapidated appearance before. At this time, it seems to be reborn. Senior. Long Chen couldn't help being surprised and delighted when he saw the changes in Qian Kunding and Dragon Bone Xia. You fucking fart, who has gone bad? No matter how bad I am, is there any dragon dust? Qi Xia yelled. Long Chen was speechless for a while. Who did I provoke? Besides, why is Lao Tzu broken? Stop, senior, I want to ask, what happened in the Windfield battlefield? What happened to me? Is it a dream, or is it real? Long Chen asked. Of course it is real. The golden-haired boy used the secret technique of the demon clan to gather the power of all the demon clan, guided by the soul of the human race, and used the power of the 8 curses as a bridge to condense the space-time channel. Steal the power of the era of chaos is trying to wake up those golden-winged demons. It has to be said that this guy is really a bit whimsical, and the probability of success of this technique is extremely slim. But it succeeded, and you, from the very beginning, went straight to the door of death. I wanted to remind you several times, but I finally held back. I think this seems to be the guidance of fate. If I intervene, not only will I have to bear huge karma, but it may also affect your future. Fortunately, I held back, otherwise, you would not be able to enter the different time and space. If you had not entered the different time and space, the breath and laws of the chaotic era would not have flooded into the chaotic space. Dragon Guxia and I will not be awakened by the law of chaos, and your 8 stars will not reach perfection. In short, this opportunity is too great. Qinkuanding sighed. Senior, why didn't I perceive you when I entered the chaotic battlefield? At that time, I was almost killed by those guys. Long Chen said with lingering fear. Qinkuanding said, time and space have isolated us. After all, we have not recovered. There is no way to reverse the flow of time and space to help you. To be honest, all of this is too dangerous. If you die on the battlefield of chaos, you are really dead, and everything is gone. Qian Kunding's voice also carried a trace of fear. It didn't expect that Long Chen would be sucked into the gate of time and space. You know, that is the battlefield of chaos. If Long Chen really died there, he would be completely finished. Senior, I don't belong to that era, but I killed the creatures of that era. Will this rewrite history? Long Chen asked. Long Chen reversed time and space and came to the battlefield of the era of chaos. If Long Chen did not come, those who were beheaded by him would not die, and they would have descendants, which would continue to this day. But now, Long Chen killed them, so today's descendants will suddenly disappear, and how to calculate the cause and effect of everything created by those descendants? Whether it will rewrite history, I can't figure out the cause and effect now, but one thing is for sure, that is, you have been contaminated with the cause and effect of the chaotic era. When you advance to the Emperor, I am afraid there will be a big liquidation. Qinkuanding Dao. Obviously, Qian Kunding's current ability is still limited, and it is impossible to calculate too many things. I don't think you will rewrite cause and effect. The flames of war in the era of chaos have spread to 9 heavens and 10 places. Even if they didn't die in your hands, they will die in the hands of others. Judging from your memory picture, their location is not the main battlefield at all. To put it bluntly, they are just a group of cannon fodder. A group of cannon fodder, can you count on them to survive the chaos war? Qi Shiyue interjected. Qian Ding said, Shiyue is right, judging from your memory, it is indeed like this. Although I haven't recovered my memory yet, if it is a powerful battle scene, or someone who has a cause and effect with me appears, it should awaken my memory. When Long Chen heard this, he couldn't help feeling cold. Such powerful creatures are just cannon fodder on the battlefield? So what he tried his best to kill was just a bunch of cannon fodder? How terrifying is the real powerhouse in the era of chaos? After being reminded by Dragon Gu Xie and Qian Ding, Long Chen recalled the situation on the battlefield. It seems that, as they said, his position is indeed not like the main battlefield. The battlefield is chaotic, there is no organization, no leader, and chaotic chaos, which means that this group of people is definitely not the core powerhouse on the battlefield. Don't worry about them, the soldiers are here to cover you up, you are getting stronger and stronger, and I am getting better and better. As long as the two of us work together, we will definitely sweep the sky and 10 Earths in the future. Invincible, in one word, we're done. Qi Shiyue said. Long Chen nodded. It doesn't matter what he likes, as long as he has enough strength, there is nothing to be afraid of. The reason why he suffered a great loss in the chaotic battlefield was because he was born in the age of doomsday. If he was born in the era of chaos, would those guys still have the qualifications to fight him? Thinking of this, Long Chen suddenly became enlightened. Qian Ding told Long Chen that it had to rest for a few days to get used to the energy in its body. As for Dragon Bone Xie, the black energy on his body was surging at this time, and he couldn't stop it at all. The black energy would corrode the space and destroy the laws, and the chaotic space would not let it enter. The black air had no effect on Long Chen, so Long Chen simply took out the knife holder made by Guoran, and carried the Dragon Bone Xie behind his back. Not to mention, the black air released by the Keel Evil Moon set off Long Chen's black clothes. He was wild and domineering, just like the god of death who came out of the netherworld. The fusion of handsomeness and danger looked very shocking. Long Chen recovered for another day. After his body fully recovered, the power of the stars circulated in his body for countless weeks. After the purple blood, colorful supreme blood, and dragon blood were all filled, and Lei Linger and Hua Linger also returned to their peak state, Long Chen went straight to the space crack. The cracks in the space trembled and swallowed Long Chen, and Long Chen suddenly felt the endless blade of space crushing towards him like a millstone. Boom, boom, boom. However, those blades of space were cut on Long Chen's body, and Long Chen didn't need to do it himself. The star suit automatically emerged, and the blade of space cut on the suit of Starry Sky, bursting into pieces. Long Chen's Starry Sky battle suit has amazing defensive power. These space blades, which are comparable to the all-out attack of 5 or 6 bloodline human emperors, cut on the Starry Sky battle suit, and Long Chen didn't feel it at all. Only when the more powerful space blade came, Long Chen could feel the Starry Sky suit tremble slightly. Seeing that the Starry Sky suit was so strong, Long Chen's confidence suddenly increased. Long Yu, here I come. Chapter 54-42, Boom, Long Chen's body suddenly lightened, and after being crushed by the turbulent space for several hours, he flew out of the void like a cannonball. Long Chen stabilized his figure, and suddenly felt the dragon blood in his body tremble slightly. Long Chen felt that the air here was filled with the breath of the Dragon Clan. However, this breath did not make Long Chen feel the slightest intimacy, and even a little disgusted, because the air was filled with the bloody smell of the Dragon Clan. Clean them up for me. The meat is rotten and the bones are rotten. If it weren't for the fact that there are not many dragons left, I would like to expel them all, this group of unworthy descendants. At this moment, the voice of Chaos Dragon Emperor suddenly came from Long Chen's mind. Since the last encounter between Long Chen and the silver-haired King Kong, Long Chen has never heard his voice again. It seems that Long Chen came to Long Yu and he was alarmed. Senior, Long Chen was startled. He heard that the Chaos Dragon Emperor was going to arrange a big job for him. How could he meddle in the affairs of the Dragon Clan by himself? Do it freely, follow your style, I believe in you. If you can't change them, it doesn't matter if you kill them all. Chaos Dragon Emperor said. Long Chen was taken aback. Is it okay to kill them all? How disappointed the old ancestor was to say such a thing. Long Chen originally wanted to shirk it. After all, he is a human race. How could the dragon race be controlled by a human race? Not to mention the proud dragon clan, even other clans will definitely resist desperately. But he thought about it again. He had received several great favors from the Chaos Dragon Emperor, but he had never had a chance to repay it, and it seemed that he had never asked him anything. This is the first time I made a request, and I push it back and forth, which is too unmanly. In addition, although the Chaos Dragon Emperor and him do not have the name of Master and Disciple, they have the reality of Master and Disciple. Understood, Senior. Don't worry, leave this matter to me. Long Chen said with a serious face. Please. When the voice fell, the Chaos Dragon Emperor had no voice anymore. However, he said please, which immediately put a lot of pressure on Long Chen. Obviously, this matter is very difficult for him, and it cannot be taken lightly or seriously. And this matter is very important to the Dragon Clan. Therefore, he will say these 3 words at the end. How can Long Chen not understand the meaning? Senior, don't worry, take care of me. Long Chen made a gesture of victory towards the sky and grinned. No matter what the difficulty is, there is always a solution. Long Chen needs strength, wisdom, and means. Most importantly, he can be like a gentleman, convincing others with virtue, or like a villain, using various tricks. Today's Long Chen is full of self-confidence. He doesn't think that anything can stump him, and the more challenging things are, the more he likes to do them. This is something entrusted to him by the Chaos Dragon Emperor. This is a glorious and sacred task. Long Chen must do a good job, otherwise how can he be worthy of the Chaos Dragon Emperor's cultivation for so many years? Long Chen closed his eyes and sensed with his heart, and soon he sensed the direction where the power of the dragon's blood fluctuated most strongly, which must be the Longyu. Long Chen carried the Kiel Shiyue on his back and galloped all the way forward, like a black dragon with a long tail. Shiyue, your smoke is too strong. When outsiders see it, they think I have a stomachache. Long Chen flew forward all the way, looking at the black smoke behind his buttocks. It was too ugly, he couldn't help it complained. Don't worry, the law of chaos has awakened the original power in my body, the original rune has awakened, and the alien energy in my body is being forced out. I suspect that this alien energy should be similar to some kind of seal, and it won't take long for them to be discharged. Kiel Shiyue said. However, the black air released by Kiel Shiyue at this time is indeed much better than the thick smoke billowing at the beginning. At this time, the black energy released by the Kiel Evil Moon is concentrated in the middle, and the interrupted position is just behind Long Chen's buttocks, which is easy to cause misunderstandings, especially when running. Although Long Chen was helpless, he could only continue to run forward. However, Long Chen's speed was not fast. Now that he had reached Longyu, he was not in a hurry. He wanted to observe the situation here first. However, the more he moved forward, the more Long Chen's heart sank. The surrounding mountains were all bare and dilapidated. There is no grass in the mountains, no vitality, and even scattered keels can be seen, half buried in the soil and half naked/exposed. Dragons are a proud race. Most dragons are obsessed with cleanliness. The environment they live in must be a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters. The first dragon domain that Long Chen went to, even though they were chaotic internally, the environment was not the same as here. The dragon clan pays great attention to the same clan. Even if there is a traitor, after killing the traitor, they will not let the traitor's bones be exposed to the wilderness. This is the tradition and belief of the dragon clan, so when he saw the bones of the dragon clan, Long Chen's heart skipped a beat. No wonder the Chaos Dragon Emperor said that it doesn't matter even if they kill them all, which shows that the Chaos Dragon Emperor is too disappointed in them. Long Chen continued to move forward, and more bones appeared in front of him, and the permeating blood became more and more intense. At this time, Long Chen understood why he disliked the breath here. It was because it was the smell of dragon blood. As Long Chen moved forward, the bloody aura in front of him became heavier and heavier. However, the corpse was no longer there, but blood stains like moss could still be seen on the ground all over the world. Currently used, the app with the most complete and best audio for listening to books, integrated with 4 major speech synthesis engines, over 100 kinds of timbers, and an artifact that supports offline reading, Huanyuan app. Com Source app, boom. While Long Chen was walking, there was a loud explosion in front of him, and the sound of the dragon's chant was loud. Long Chen was shocked and accelerated his speed, rushing past like a bolt of lightning. The roaring sound in front was getting closer and closer, and soon Long Chen saw dozens of figures, fighting fiercely. All of them were young and strong dragons, and they were all heavenly saints. Long Chen discovered that these powerful dragons were fighting fiercely, and their moves were deadly. It was not an ordinary contest at all, but a life and death struggle. At this moment on the ground, 3 people were already lying on the ground, dying, and it seemed that they would not live long. Seeing this scene, Long Chen couldn't help frowning. He couldn't recognize which branch of the dragon clan these 2 strong men came from, but no matter which race they came from, they were so desperate in the dragon realm, it could only show that the dragon realm was completely chaotic. Long Chen's figure flickered, and he came to the 3 strong men lying on the ground. Among the 3, 2 men and 1 woman were like gossamer. Long Chen took out 3 pills and fed them into their mouths. When the elixir was taken in, their aura began to stop dissipating, and the wounds on their bodies also began to heal slowly. Human race? At this time, the powerhouses on both sides discovered Long Chen. They roared and rushed towards Long Chen at the same time. Chapter 5443. What did you say just now? The human race is dead? I don't seem to hear clearly. Can you please say it again? Long Chen changed from his wild and domineering attitude in the past, and put on a very polite and humble attitude. His voice was very soft and authentic. After all, this is Long Yu, and Long Chen came here with a purpose. He was too domineering and he always felt embarrassed. In front of Long Chen, except for 3 people lying on the ground, the rest of them were all bruised and swollen, covered in blood, and some even had their entire arms torn off. They knelt in front of Long Chen, not daring to move. Hearing Long Chen's words at this time, he couldn't help shivering. Looking at the friendly smile on Long Chen's face, it seemed as if he saw the ferocious face of a devil, and the hairs all over his body stood up. Just now, they pounced on Long Chen, and before they understood what was going on, they were knocked down by Long Chen. Long Chen's fist landed on them, smashing their bones and tendons, and they were in pain. Long Chen is an expert in fighting. He doesn't want to kill these people, but he must make them suffer, otherwise, they won't have a long memory. Every time Long Chen punches, nothing can be seen on the surface. In fact, the pain caused to them is unimaginable. Some people yelled in pain, and their mouths were torn apart by Long Chen. Some people had their arms and thighs removed by Long Chen. After seeing Long Chen's terrifying methods, they were completely terrified. Long Chen knelt down. None of them dared resist. Now, when Long Chen spoke to them in such a tone, they were stunned and didn't know how to answer for a while. Snapped, "What the hell are you talking about? Weren't you quite arrogant just now?" Long Chen slapped a leader on the face, and that person was immediately knocked over by the slap. The anger in Long Chen's heart kept burning. How proud the Dragon Clan was. When others asked them to kneel down, they knelt down without hesitation. What about the dignity and glory of the Dragon Clan? If they swear not to kneel to the death, Long Chen will respect them a little bit. Now, Long Chen can't wait to beat them to death and directly clear the door for the Dragon Clan. The man was slapped, half of his face was swollen. He said with a grieved face, "We were wrong, we shouldn't provoke you. We thought you were with those human races who came here." "Which human races?" When Long Chen heard this, he immediately knew that it must be the Dragon Blood Legion, but he still asked excitedly. Sure enough, as Long Chen expected, those human races he mentioned were the Dragon Blood Legion. It turned out that last time, after encountering the silver-haired residual space, the Dragon Blood Legion was sent away by the Qianquan Cauldron, and finally, under the guidance of the Chaos Dragon Emperor, they traveled all the way through the endless wilderness and came to the dragon realm of the Tianyuan world. At the beginning, everyone cared about Long Chen, but then the Chaos Dragon Emperor secretly sent a voice transmission to the patriarch of the White Dragon clan, saying that Long Chen was safe and asked him to keep the secret. The patriarch of the Bailong clan revealed this secret to Yu Zifeng and the others, meaning that they don't have to worry about Long Chen. Although he didn't say anything specific, Yu Zifeng and the others immediately understood and followed them here with peace of mind. Along the way, they also encountered countless monster attacks. Fortunately, the Dragon Blood warriors were brave and invincible, protecting the strong dragon clan, and came all the way to the dragon domain. However, when they came to Longyu and saw the situation in Longyu, the hot flames in everyone's hearts seemed to be poured with cold water. They couldn't believe what they saw. The dragon realm in Tianyuan world is thousands of times more chaotic than their original dragon realm, fighting with each other constantly. On the way they came, they witnessed a large-scale fight with their own eyes. At that time, they were almost killed as spies. Fortunately, the patriarch of the White Dragon clan used secret methods to ask for help. Just when the endless Dragon clan powerhouses surrounded them and were about to attack, the White Dragon clan from Tianyuan world came and rescued them. After everyone was introduced into the White Dragon clan, they asked about the cause and effect, and learned that they came from outside the wilderness and came to join them. The head of the White Dragon clan in the Tianyuan world couldn't help feeling extremely ashamed, but there was nothing he could do about it. In today's chaos in the dragon realm, no one will obey anyone. They have been fighting for the position of commander for countless years. This kind of internal friction is likely to cause the dragon clan to fall apart. Although the Bailong clan has nothing to do with the world, in the chaotic world, it is impossible to be alone. The Bailong clan was already disheartened, and they had already planned to leave Longyu to develop on their own. Even if they died in the battle of the heavenly demon outside, it would be better than dying in this internal dispute. The Bailong clan immediately accepted them. When the dragon clan from outside the wilderness came here, some of them were taken away by their own strong men in the Tianyuan world, while some came here and found that their ancestors were not found at all, so they could only stay in Bailong. Among the dragon clan, however, the Dragon Blood Legion has become an extremely special and sensitive existence. They are human races, but they bear dragon blood, which makes countless dragon clan powerhouses unacceptable. All of a sudden, all the forces began to put pressure on the White Dragon clan, asking them to hand over the Dragon Blood Legion, and those young dragon clan arrogances challenged the Dragon Blood Legion even more. How could the Dragon Blood Legion bear this kind of humiliation? They immediately started to fight after a few words disagreement, but this fight was terrible. Many so-called Dragon Clan talents were defeated in a few tricks, and lost face all of a sudden. More and more Tianjiao gathered, and the Dragon Blood Legion attracted the attention of those monsters. The patriarch of the White Dragon clan saw that something was wrong, and immediately protected the Dragon Blood Legion. Let them retreat directly to prevent the conflict from getting worse and getting out of hand at that time, and in this way, the Bailong clan will be under tremendous pressure. The Bailong clan became the target of public criticism. For a while, the internal conflicts in Longyu all pointed to the Bailong clan. The Bailong clan was miserable, but they could only support it. When Long Chen heard this, he immediately understood that the White Dragon clan must be waiting for him. Long Chen stopped wasting time. After learning about the entire Longyu map from a single person, he kicked one person, even the one lying on the ground. Those three were all missed and left a sentence, "I can only save you once. The next time I see you, you'd better grow your brains, otherwise you won't even know how you died." These people were beaten up inexplicably, and their heads are all dumbfounded now, and the three people who were pulled back from the Ghost Gate by Long Chen looked at the back of Long Chen's departure, and they didn't know whether they should be grateful to Long Chen or should hate Long Chen. However, after Long Chen left, they glanced at each other. The previous fire of hatred disappeared after being beaten by Long Chen. They left one after another, and they rushed back to the clan as soon as possible. Long Chen moved forward all the way, and soon encountered a group of strong dragons. When the group of strong dragons looked at Long Chen said coldly, "If you don't want to be beaten, just get away with Third Master Long." Chapter 5444, Humble Human Race, Get Out of the Dragon Domain Immediately. The sacred power of the dragon domain has been defiled by you ants. A dragon clan heavenly saint strongman saw Long Chen and yelled angrily. This guy must be with that group of turtles. Break off his hands and feet, throw him in front of the white dragon clan, and see how they react. Just cut off his head, and make an example of him. It's a fight against those idiots. Long Chen's warning did not scare them, but instead aroused their anger. This group of people surrounded Long Chen in an instant. All of them had ferocious faces, and their eyes were full of violence. Kneel down. A strong dragon clan came to Long Chen and shouted sharply. Snapped, however, as soon as he stopped drinking, Long Chen's palm slapped on his shoulder, and the man suddenly felt a huge force coming, and he resisted instinctively. Click! As a result of this resistance, his knee was broken immediately. As he said, he knelt down in an instant. His knee had been completely shattered, and the moment it touched the ground trembled, and the piercing pain caused him to scream again and again. Kill him! Seeing Long Chen make a move, the group of people were furious and made moves one after another. Boom, boom, boom. However, this group of Dragon Clan powerhouses were only of ordinary rank among the Dragon Clan. Wherever they were Long Chen's opponents, they were all beaten to the ground by Long Chen almost as soon as they met each other. Snapped. Seeing that the situation was not going well, a dragon strongman ran away, but as soon as he moved, Long Chen's big hand had already grabbed his neck and lifted him up like a chicken. What did you just say? To cut off my head and kill others as an example? Does this proposal look good? Long Chen looked at the man with a gloomy expression. Me? Puff! Long Chen exerted force with his big hand. The man's neck was broken by Long Chen, his head was thrown to the ground, and he rolled all the way far away. The man was already dead. Who? The Strong Dragon Clan didn't expect that Long Chen would dare to kill the Strong Dragon Clan in Longyu. At that moment, they were shocked and angry. Long Chen ignored them, and just strode forward, all the way forward. Soon, the movement here attracted the attention of the Strong Dragon Clan. When they saw Long Chen, they came up to fight without saying a word. Boom! A dragon strongman was punched by Long Chen, blood mist filled the sky, and the bloody aura unique to dragons permeated the entire void. In the face of the Strong Dragon Clan, Long Chen is not merciful to everyone. For those idiots, Long Chen is willing to give them a chance. However, seeing those violent and bloodthirsty dragon experts who killed him without any hesitation, Long Chen would not show mercy. Enemy attack! Seeing Long Chen's murderous hands, someone screamed and summoned more dragon powerhouses to come. Boom! As a result, a large group of dragon powerhouses came to kill them. Just as they rushed in front of Long Chen waved his palm, and the air waves overlapped. Hundreds of dragon powerhouses flew out in a whirl, rolling all the way far away. If you don't want to die, just get out of here. What I'm looking for is your patriarch, your ancestor. Long Chen said coldly. You are a small human race. Why do you see our patriarch? Our ancestors, even we are not qualified to meet. What are you? However, as soon as the man's arrogant words fell, a bone spear pierced his chest, and Long Chen's figure appeared in front of him like a ghost. Is this qualification enough? Long Chen said coldly. Boom! Before the man could reply, Long Chen's spear trembled, and the Strong Dragon Clan was blown away. The man was killed, and the Dragon Clan powerhouses present were in chaos. Among the disciples of the Dragon Field, the man was considered a little famous existence, but he was killed by Long Chen with one blow, and they were shocked. They were frightened by Long Chen's aura and retreated again and again. When Long Chen took a step forward, they took 3 steps back. Hundreds of strong men were forced by Long Chen alone to dare not step forward. Call, with a wave of the bone spear in Long Chen's hand, the sound of dragon chant pierced the sky. He looked at the group of dragon disciples with cold, killing intent in his eyes. Dragon, what a proud race. When did it get down to this point? When did the proud dragon clan start to bully the weak and fear the strong? Long Chen gritted his teeth, wishing he could kill all the dragon disciples. Long Chen also bears the blood of the dragon, and he is half a member of the dragon clan. He is ashamed of these people. Long Chen moved forward all the way, and more dragon powerhouses gathered in front of him. Suddenly someone exclaimed, "Isn't that the God Emperor's soldier of the Yinglong clan, the Blood Dragon's Tooth?" Someone recognized the weapon in Long Chen's hand. Long Chen didn't expect that this dragon gun turned out to be the God Emperor's soldier, but it is so weak now that it should have been severely injured and has not recovered. Therefore, Long Chen never dared to use it in front of superpowers on the Wind Field battlefield, fearing that it would be destroyed by heavy damage. "Why do you have the magical weapons of my Yinglong clan in your hands?" Suddenly someone roared angrily. Long Chen looked at that person. From his body, Long Chen felt the same aura as Ying Tianhua's. The Yinglong family is still in Longyu? No wonder Longyu is in such a mess. I'm afraid you are the root of the trouble. Long Chen's face sank, and he opened his big hand to grab it in the air. The space in front of the man was distorted in a large area, and he yelled in horror. He turned and fled, but the distorted space swallowed him up and sent him to Long Chen's hands in an instant. Long Chen found that after advancing to the Heavenly Sage, he had a deeper understanding of the laws of space. This kind of extraction from the air seems very simple, but it is very difficult to catch a Heavenly Sage from the air. This requires a deep understanding of the laws of space, as well as a subtle control of power. If the power is greater, the opponent will be caught and exploded directly, but if the strength is smaller, the space fluctuation will either tear the opponent into pieces, or the transmission cannot be completed. A simple grasp showed Long Chen's powerful comprehensive strength. That person was not weak, but he fell into Long Chen's hands before he understood what was going on. Puff, Long Chen took a look at him, determined that this guy was not a good cake, so he didn't bother to talk nonsense with him, pointed out, pierced his head, and violently captured his soul. In his messy memory picture, Long Chen learned that the Yinglong clan was not only in the Longyu, but also had a pretty good life. It is almost an open secret that the Yinglong clan colluded with the Brahma Pill Valley. Not only that, but the Yinglong clan was still in the Dragon Realm, recruiting a lot of helpers. This scene was almost a repeat of the Wilderness Dragon Realm. The traders outside the wilderness are the Minglong clan, but the traders in the Tianyuan Longyu are not only the Yinglong clan, the Minglong clan, but also many other dragon clans. Knowing this, Long Chen's lungs are about to explode, and now he can feel the mood of the Chaos Dragon Emperor. "You are a bunch of idiots. Are you trying to force me to kill you all?" Long Chen gritted his teeth, and murderous intent surged in his eyes. He felt that he was about to lose control. With a wave of his spear, he accelerated his speed and rushed to the depths of Longyu. Chapter 54-45, Senior Brother Long Chen. Suddenly someone screamed. Long Chen looked around, and he saw a young face, but Long Chen didn't recognize him. Seeing that Long Chen didn't recognize him, the man hurriedly said, "Senior Brother Long Chen, I came with you from the Long domain outside the territory. Go and tell the people from the dragon territory outside the wilderness not to come. I'm going to start a killing spree. If my eyes are red, I'm afraid I will be the enemy." Long Chen said, "This?" The man was startled. He wanted to say a few words to Long Chen, but Long Chen's attitude shocked him. "Go quickly," Long Chen shouted. The man trembled in fright and ran away. Shashasha. The tip of the keel's spear fell to the ground. The sharp tip cut through the ground and was dragged forward in a straight line. Long Chen's murderous intent became more and more intense. He couldn't figure out how the dragon clan became like this. He originally thought that the dragon territory outside the territory was already bad enough, but what he saw before him seemed to be challenging the limit of his imagination. This is only on the outskirts of Longyu, and it has rotted to such an extent that it has not touched the core. Long Chen even suspects that Longyu has rotted to the root, and I don't know if it is necessary to save it. "Are you that member of the Dragon Blood Legion?" Among a group of shrunken turtles, finally there is an early bird? At this moment, a woman in red suddenly appeared in front of her. The woman was dressed in a red robe, with dragon horns on her head, and her blood was astonishing. She had a cold face, standing above the void, looking down at Long Chen, domineering. However, in the face of her ridicule, Long Chen didn't bother to look at her, held the keel spear, and continued to move forward, as if he didn't see her. He is a master of the Blood Dragon clan. What an arrogant boy, suppress me. Seeing Long Chen ignoring her, the woman in red immediately became furious. With a wave of her palm, the heavens and the earth trembled. A palm covering the sky, carrying endless energy and blood, pressed towards Long Chen. Boom! Facing the palm that covered the sky, Long Chen didn't even look at it. He slapped it casually, and with a bang, the palm that covered the sky was shattered by Long Chen's slap, turning into bloody runes. The woman's body shook violently, blood overflowed from the corner of her mouth. She looked at Long Chen in horror. She couldn't believe what happened in front of her eyes. She is an elite master of the Blood Dragon clan, and she is also an extremely conceited arrogance. She didn't do her best in the face of Long Chen, but this palm seemed to be an understatement, but it was the advanced supernatural power of her Blood Dragon clan. This palm is hard and soft, can suppress all spirits, and has the power of the soul attached to it. It is hard and flexible, and it is extremely difficult to resist. She didn't expect Long Chen to break through such a powerful blow. What frightened her the most was that fortunately she didn't use all her strength in this blow, otherwise the terrifying countershock force would directly blast her soul. She is now a corpse. Unknowingly, after walking around the gate of hell, she was completely frightened, her face was pale, blood was bleeding from the corner of her mouth, she couldn't say a word, and she didn't dare to move. Kong Kong has its power but no spirit. Kong has its shape but no ambition, only has the heart to bully the weak, but has no ambition to shake the sky and the clouds. How can the Dragon Clan have you idiots? Long Chen finally looked at the woman. One glance, in the eyes, is full of anger that hates iron but not steel. The woman was glanced at by Long Chen, and her whole body trembled. At that moment, she seemed to be stared at by the Emperor, feeling so humble and insignificant. Boom! At this moment, the void exploded, and a spear pierced through the sky, stabbing at Long Chen. At the same time, a voice shouted coldly, "What's so arrogant about bullying girls?" The long spear roared and exploded, carrying a mighty force, and stabbed straight at Long Chen. With one shot, all the strong people present were overwhelmed, and another terrifying strong man rushed over. Snapped, however, the terrifying spear was suddenly caught by a big hand, and the mighty power carried on the spear disappeared without a trace like a cow falling into the sea. What? People were horrified. The generation of women? Among the women, there are also supremely strong men who become emperors and emperors. They are amazingly talented and brilliant, shining forever. You are just a frog at the bottom of a well. You have never seen such a powerful person. The frog in the well cannot speak of the sea, but how can summer insects speak of ice? Long Chen sneered. Boom! Long Chen's big hand was strong, and the stars flashed on the palm of his hand. The powerful long spear was crushed by Long Chen and turned into fragments all over the sky. As a strong dragon clan, your body is a magic weapon, the strongest weapon. You use human weapons to improve your combat power, but you are not confident enough in yourself and the Dragon Clan. What right do you have to talk nonsense here? Boom! Long Chen snorted coldly, waved his big hand, and the shards of divine weapons all over the sky were slapped away by Long Chen's palm, hitting towards the voice in the void. Boom! The void was pierced by debris, and then people heard a scream, and a figure emerged from the void. The man was covered in blood and was almost smashed into a sieve. As soon as he appeared, the figure flickered, and he fled immediately. Seeing the man fleeing, Long Chen became even more angry. He opened his big hand and grabbed it from the air. The man screamed and struggled desperately. However, no matter how he struggled, his body still floated towards Long Chen. Obviously, this person was so powerful that Long Chen couldn't grab him from the air, so he could only suck him in. The man swung his legs desperately and ran wildly, but his body was retreating rapidly. His appearance looked ridiculous, but none of the strong people present could laugh. They only had horror and fear in their eyes. The man screamed. He was afraid, but no matter how he struggled, he finally fell into Long Chen's hands. Papa, Papa! Long Chen grabbed the man, thrust the keel spear to the side, and with a shake of his hand, 16 big mouths appeared, cursing while beating. Run away if you can't beat it? This is Longyu, your home. Shouldn't you swear to protect your homeland? Shouldn't you be desperate to protect your family? Where is your courage? What about your blood? What about the pride of being a dragon? Why are you talking to me? Long Chen's big mouth twitched violently as if he didn't want money. The man passed out after being slapped a few times by Long Chen and couldn't answer Long Chen at all. Fuck you, bastard. You're blinded for nothing with this body of dragon's blood. Long Chen was so angry that he really wanted to crush him to death, but this person was just stupid, not evil in nature. Long Chen couldn't kill him even if he wanted to, so he just threw him out like trash. The strong people present were all dumbfounded. Long Chen's tone of hating iron and steel made them confused. They didn't know whether to take action or run away. They would definitely not be able to hit him with a single shot, but if they escaped, their scalps would feel numb seeing the man's violent beating. When is it your turn to be arrogant in Longyu? At this moment, a cold shout came out, and as soon as the voice came out, the strong dragon clan present were immediately lifted up. Chapter 54-46. The person who came was dressed in a red robe and had long fiery red hair. He was tall, and there was a flame-shaped rune between his eyebrows. As soon as this person arrived, countless dragon disciples cheered, and someone shouted, Qi Yunxiao is here, let's see if this guy can be more arrogant. This person's name is Qi Yunxiao, and he is the top expert of the Qilong clan. The Qilong clan is a nobleman among dragons, and his blood contains the terrifying power of flames. The fire dragon in human mythology refers to the red dragon, and the dragon race is promoted from green dragon, blue dragon, golden dragon, and red dragon to show the process and level of their transformation as their bodies change. Qilong has crimson red in Tianxing, and red is a symbol of nobility among dragons. As soon as Qi Yunxiao arrived, all the strong dragon clans present at the scene regained their spirits, and their courage gradually grew. Human child, ah! A strong dragon clan clamored. As a result, before he finished speaking, he screamed. It turned out that Long Chen kicked up a fist-sized stone, hit the man's mouth, and directly smashed his jaw. When did the dragon clan start to spit? Whoever spits again, I'll screw his head off. Long Chen said coldly. The dragon race powerhouses present were horrified, and their previous arrogance disappeared. Before Qi Yunxiao defeated this guy in black, they planned to keep their mouths under control so that no misfortune would come out of them. Report your name, I, Qi Yunxiao, will not attack unknown pawns. Qi Yunxiao looked at Long Chen admonishing that person, not caring at all, and said coldly, My surname is Long Dan and my name is Chen. Long Chen said. When Long Chen reported his name, the strong present exclaimed, Are you the Long Chen they are talking about? Qi Yunxiao's pupils shrank suddenly. He had never seen Long Chen, but he had heard of Long Chen. The arrival of the Dragon Blood Legion caused even more chaos in the entire dragon domain. Dragon disciples have provoked the Dragon Blood Legion countless times, and Long Chen's name has been mentioned in the words of the Dragon Blood Warriors. Moreover, the White Dragon Clan has also mentioned Long Chen to all the Dragon Clan powerhouses, because Long Chen is the leader of the Dragon Blood Legion and the person with the strongest dragon power. The White Dragon Clan took in the Dragon Blood Legion, offended the public, and supported it hard just to wait for Long Chen to arrive. Now seeing the man in black in front of him, Qi Yunxiao's fighting spirit suddenly rose. It turns out that you are Long Chen. That's great. Aren't you the boss of the Dragon Blood Legion? It seems very arrogant. Let me see today. You are a small human race. How much strength does blood have? Qi Yunxiao sneered and walked towards Long Chen. Bang, bang, bang. Every time he took a step, a blood-red footprint was left on the void. As soon as the footprint appeared, flames rose, and the void was ignited by him. The horrific high temperature raged, and countless strong people around were scared and fled in all directions. They knew how terrifying Qi Yunxiu's strength was, and if the power of flames erupted, they would all be burnt. Boom! As Qi Yunxiu moved forward, flame symbols circulated all over his body, and the violent flames engulfed the sky. Behind him, the destiny roulette emerged, and a dragon of flame was rising and roaring inside. Qilong's fire is one of the strongest demon fires in the world. It is said that when it is practiced to the highest level, its power can be compared to the 13th ranked sky fire in the sky fire list. The endless flames rose and engulfed the entire battlefield, and Long Chen was instantly wrapped in it. However, facing the endless fire of the red dragon, Long Chen remained indifferent, letting the flames rise without any resistance. Show your vision and show your strongest combat power. If you are really strong, I might consider not killing you. Qi Yunxiu didn't make a move immediately, but shouted loudly. He thought that Long Chen was overwhelmed by the power of his flames, lost his chance, and couldn't even summon the vision. He deliberately eased the power of the flames to give Long Chen a chance to raise his breath. The heart is not bad, but the brain is a little stupid. Long Chen looked at the confident Qi Yunxiu and said lightly. Long Chen's nonsensical words immediately made Qi Yunxiu furious. Long Chen, are you giving up? Don't you even have the courage to fight? Let me ask you, where is your strength ranked in this Tianyuan Longyu? Long Chen asked back. In the Dragon Power list 3 years ago, I was ranked 97th. Later, the Dragon Realm was in chaos, and the list was also in chaos. No one managed the Dragon Power Stone anymore. But now that my cultivation base has greatly improved and my strength has greatly increased, I should be able to rank in the top 50. Why do you ask this? Qi Yunxiu said impatiently. The Dragon Power Stone is a special stone of the Dragon Clan to measure the purity and energy of the blood. However, this test stone is only used to test the blood, and cannot measure a person's real combat power. It's not that people with strong blood must be strong, and it's not that people with weak blood must be weak. Some people have a strong bloodline, but they are stupid, lazy, and poor in understanding. After all, they are just a piece of trash waiting to die. And some people obviously not very talented, but in order to pursue stronger combat power, they have brought their potential to the extreme, and their combat power is amazing. As soon as Long Chen heard Lonely Stone, he looked at Qi Yunxiu again, shook his head and said, Talent is not bad, but people are too stupid. If you fight for life and death with your strength, if you can rank in the top 500, you will be burned. You are so fragrant, and you are still in the top 50, you really know how to comfort yourself. Qi Yunxiu was so annoyed by Long Chen's words that he almost lost his breath. He roared angrily, You are a human race, what qualifications do you have to talk about it? What do you know about my dragon race? Since you don't do your best, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Qi Yunxiu became impatient. Seeing that Long Chen did not show his breath, he waved his big hand and grabbed it in the air. The endless flame symbols in the space gathered to form a 100-mile-long flame spear. The flame spear pierced the void, and with a piercing sonic boom, it rushed towards Long Chen. Snapped, with a wave of Long Chen's hand, the flaming spear was shattered by Long Chen's palm. The understatement surprised all the strong people in the audience. You can't even squeeze in the top 500, and you are not qualified to fight with me. You should get out of the way so as not to be beaten up, it's not worth it. Long Chen spoke and stepped forward, ignoring Qi Yunxiu's billowing flames. You're crazy, Qi Yunxiu's astonishment turned into anger. He roared, and the flames all over his body burned rapidly. He stepped forward, and he rushed towards Long Chen like a bolt of lightning, and punched him down. However, what surprised him was that when he punched him, Long Chen's figure disappeared in place, and his expression changed drastically. And at this moment, Long Chen's figure appeared in front of him again. Long Chen's speed was as fast as a ghost, and no one saw how he left or came back. However, people only saw that Long Chen stretched out his right hand, clasped his middle finger with his mother finger, aimed at Qi Yunxiu's bright forehead, and when he went up, there was a loud brain crash. Boom! With a bang, Qi Yunxiu rolled all the way out, knocked out several big holes in the ground, and flew tens of thousands of miles away. At that moment, the whole world fell into deathly silence. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.